A regular meeting of the City Council held in the council chamber on Thursday, April 13th at 7 p.m. for the purpose of transacting any and all business. Notice of this meeting was posted on April 11th, 2017 at 10:29 a.m. This meeting is being taped and is live on SATV, and I'd ask you all to double check and silence or turn off your cell phones at this time. All councilors are present. Councilor President Milo presided. Councilor McCarthy moved to dispense with the reading of the record of the previous meeting. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. I request that everyone please rise to recite the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Councilor Fury.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so we have public testimony first, and many of you here in the chamber have already kind of been through this drill. We have a number of people signed up to speak, and public testimony is limited to a total of 15 minutes, but what we're going to do to allow everybody time to speak is we're going to limit you to 2 minutes. So if you would kindly keep an eye on the Assistant City Clerk over here after you've been speaking for a while, she'll give you the 10-second warning. I'll give you the count by my fingers, and we'll just get things going. So the first person signed up to speak is Jeff Cohen. Name and address for the record, please.
Thank you. Jeff Cohen, 12 Hancock Street, Chair, Salem's No Place for Hate Committee. I'll be brief. This is a public safety issue. We're talking about the Sanctuary for Peace ordinance. And the reason it will increase public safety is because undocumented people in the United States commit far less crime than anyone else. They will also be more inclined to report a crime if they are a witness or a victim. And in doing so, the police can help them attain U visas, which gives them some legal status. We've talked about all the benefits. I want to thank you for the first passage and hope that more than 7 people will vote on the second passage. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Anna Nunzio.
Ana Nuncio, 20 Winter Street, President of the Latino Leadership Coalition, and I'm here first to thank the councilors for first passage of the Sanctuary for Peace ordinance, and to encourage the councilors who voted against it to listen to the better angels of their nature and vote in the second passage for the ordinance. For all the reasons that Jeff has mentioned about public safety, but most importantly because it's the right thing to do at our grassroots level, and we cannot outsource the responsibility for dealing with immigration to the federal government any longer. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Plesanoga. If you could come, do you mind coming? Can you make it to the?
I think you can hear me down that side. Can you not? I can't hear you.
Madam President.
Sir,
we need it at the microphone just so that it goes under the record.
Charge me for the
we're not going to start your 2 minutes till you get there. Don't worry. I'm going to try to be as fair as possible and speak as loudly as I can. Is that better?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. All righty.
Ladies and gentlemen of the council, council president, all you other people, I came prepared to speak for more than 2 minutes.
Mr. Plesanoga?
Yes.
Your 2 minutes hasn't started yet, but if you can just give us your name and your address for the record.
I thought I did that. My name, Edward Plesanoga. Live on Ocean Avenue, Salem.
Thank you.
That enough? I have prepared something, but I'm not going to read it. I'm going to talk extemporaneously. First of all, I'm against sanctuary cities. I'm in favor of illegal immigration. I'm sorry. That's what happens when you're extemporaneous. illegal immigration is illegal. It's against the law. You people, the whole council, can change Sanctuary City to whatever name you choose, but you still are breaking a federal law. I don't know what else I can say, and people all look relatively intelligent, but there's only 4 of you that are acting that way. The rest of you, it's despicable. I can't imagine how you can continue to do this. Immigration is a thing that's, my grandparents immigrated legally. I don't know about your grandparents, but they came in here, they took the time, they spent the effort, and everything else that went along with it, became good, honest, working citizens, and lived a long, healthy life, and they were the product of me. And I think that collectively, you people haven't got the intelligence that I was born the first
Mr.
day with.
Plesanoga, kindly
I'm
keep it...
sorry, I didn't mean that. It slipped. Have I used up my 2 minutes yet? Still going. Anyway, I'll repeat myself. I'm against sanctuary cities, no matter what you call it. It's still breaking the law, and sooner or later, Salem will get caught up with it. You don't need to count. I'm all done.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
I'm leaving.
Next we have Jeff Gross.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Jeff Gross. I live at 2 Saltwall Lane. I want to start by thanking the council for its vote last month in support of the Sanctuary for Peace ordinance. And I want to thank all of the council members and congratulate you for your thoughtfulness and your hard work in this issue, this controversial issue, and for fostering a process that's been marked by honest public debate, information shared broadly by city officials, and the wide and powerful array of community voices that we've heard as part of these discussions. In my own testimony at the hearing on March 29th, I sought to emphasize the constitutional challenges facing the administration's executive order that would threaten to deny funding from sanctuary cities, in particular violations of the 10th Amendment that would seek to force localities and state governments to do the job of the federal government. Remarkably, the day after the hearing took place, the city of Seattle became the first sanctuary city to bring suit against the federal government, to bring suit in federal court against the administration's executive order, arguing that, quote, the order is premised on a misreading of federal statutory law and departs dramatically from settled constitutional principles. This suit by the city of Seattle is a recognition of the lawful and humane path that the Salem is considering tonight. I hope the council will vote tonight to confirm the sanctuary ordinance. This will represent one more historic step in an ongoing fight to ensure that community trust in local law enforcement and city government are strengthened and that the rights and contributions of all residents of Salem are protected and recognized. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Next, we have Eric Papetti. Eric, you're speaking on a different subject, correct?
I am.
Okay.
Giving you all a quick break from sanctuary cities, and then I'm guessing back to that. So, Eric Papetti from 11 Simon Street, and I just wanted to come here today and speak in favor of the motion introduced tonight by Councilor Formico, which relates to amending our zoning in a way which would establish a formal linkage between our planning board and the Traffic and Parking Commission. I believe that the projects which happen in our city, planning and transportation policy need to be linked. Without this kind of clear linkage, we often end up in the transportation world feeling like we're shutting the door after the horse has left the barn, so to speak. And it wouldn't shock me if some people on the planning board may have feelings that are something of a mirror image to that. So I think what has been introduced is a great start, and I would really encourage you all to approve that so that it can be so that it can go before the public hearing and get this done quickly. There's a lot of stuff going on being built, both roads and developments in the city, and the quicker we can make that process better, the better the end result for our residents here. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Next is Deb Prentice.
Deb Prentice, 16 Hardy Street. If I have this right, this is about Sanctuary City. If I have this right, the impetus behind the Sanctuary City ordinance is to support the undocumented community and alleviate fear. If you pass this, that community may get a lot more fearful. Chances are it will bring the federal government down on them like a ton of bricks. Not on us, not this body, not the mayor, not me, nor the majority of Salem residents, but the people you're supposedly protecting. The status quo will actually protect them more by not putting them in the federal crosshairs. Oh, and not to mention that even city officials state that this will change nothing as pertains to law enforcement. What will change? The federal moves won't affect most of us, say 75%. Losing $11 million in funding, oh, we may get hit with higher taxes, crummier in parks and streets, reduced law enforcement. Bad enough, but we won't be impacted by lack of funds for affordable housing, school programs, a vast array of public services, and so forth. No, we won't, because most of us don't use those. Don't kid yourselves. The U.S. House Appropriations Committee is already in motion, working to suspend funding to sanctuary cities, real or perceived, across the board. And if you've been following the news, ICE is ramping up deportations too. One more paragraph. Well, I have no doubt that most who support this ordinance have good intentions. Most of you, most of us, won't feel the full negative impact of your actions here. I dare say that no one in this body, nor the mayor, will lose anything major due to cuts in federal funding, nor will ICE be knocking on your doors looking to deport a beloved family member, possibly a breadwinner, because you were the ones who put a target on them and brought the federal focus here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Farrah Wilson.
My name is Farrah Wolfson. I live at 25 Pickman Road, and I want to honor the good, honest people whose rights we need to protect because they are asking us to do that, and I want to honor their goodness and their intelligence in asking for that. I also want to apologize on behalf of the community, apologize to people who experience the indignity of hearing the word illegal and illegals used erroneously and hatefully. One day I hope we'll be apologizing that this was part of our language in 2017 when that is obsolete. I am Jewish, and I was at a Seder Monday night, and we were talking about freedom. And what struck me is these are not words from thousands of years ago. The second cup of wine, actually the first cup is to awaken us to injustice. The second cup toward realizing that change. And the third cup is our call to action. It says, for Dayenu, if the world hears the cries of the oppressed but does not come to their aid, Dayenu, it will not be enough. If we empower our brothers and sisters to escape violence but fail to offer them refuge or sanctuary, it will not be enough. If our generosity supports the needs of today but forsakes the needs of tomorrow, it will not be enough. However, if we persevere until stability, peace, safety, and justice have been attained, Dayenu, then it will be enough. We commit ourselves to stand up, speak out, and protest acts of hate. We will fight poverty, inequality, and discrimination in our communities and around the world. We will act on our belief that change is possible. There are so many things we cannot change, but in this room tonight is the opportunity to do what was done and continue and vote in favor of the Sanctuary for Peace. Thank you.
Thank you. Where's Scott? Oh, okay. I didn't see you over there.
Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Scott Sternberg. I'm at 25 Pickman Road. I'm in District 7. What we do matters. What you do tonight matters. I'd like to respectfully request if I can share my time with a member of the community.
We're just doing the 2 minutes tops. We're not sharing any time with somebody, especially who hasn't signed up. So you've got your 2 minutes, though. I
was never more proud of Salem. On at the first community meeting, where so many people spoke up and the council here heard and listened to every single person speak. And about the vote, where the first vote passing the Sanctuary for Peace ordinance. I ask that you all now hear those voices again, hear the voices now, and act to move this forward, pass it a second time. Let's go forward. Our community demands it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Last, we have Fuzzy.
End of the list?
I believe you were the last speaker at the public hearing, too, weren't you?
Yeah, the best for last. God bless you. Name is Fawaz Abu Sharik, 4 Harrison Road. Actually, my real question here today, we all know, like many people say, including all 11 of you who voted yes or no, that we already do those things, and it's already in the city. So the real question isn't why aren't we passing it? I know, I understand why we would pass it, but why would some will go against it? Why would a councillor stand up and lies to us 3 different times about it?
Fuzzy,
Why
please.
does some councillors go around
Fuzzy,
spreading hate? I'm
Fuzzy,
not naming anybody. They are
you're
going
directing it
around
at councilors,
spreading
please.
hate and dividing the city. This is the actual question, and this is what I want to point out. I got it, I understand it now. Some people ran out of credit with the city, and they know at this point the only way to be re-elected is to wake up white, racist Salem to vote for them, because good Salem will not support them and they will be out by next November. And this is what this is about. This is why they're against it. This is why we're going up in arms with our families and everybody supposedly signing a petition. By the way, I'm willing to sign the petition, because this is going to be my best advertisement against those people to get them out of the council next year. Because I know in Salem there's going to be more people for this agenda than for against it. And in certain wards it might not work as much, but for the at large, that's the way. So to all of Salem tonight, this is your vote in November. This is your issue. This is white, racist Salem, or this is progressive, good, honest to God Salem. God bless you.
Thank you, Fuzzy. And that concludes public testimony. Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Madam President. Since also this is what everybody's here for, I would like to move that we take out of order and go to page 24, unfinished business. Second.
Okay, all those in favor? Okay, opposed? Let's all go to page 24, and I'm assuming we're going to take up second passage for the ordinance. Councilor Ryan? Oh, unfinished business, wait a minute.
We have second passage of an ordinance, Chapter 2, Article 17, City Services Related to Immigration Status Inclusionary Advisory Committee.
Councilor Ryan?
Move second and final passage.
Councilor Ryan moves for second and final passage. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, under discussion?
Roll call vote, please.
Under discussion?
Under discussion.
Councilor Lovely.
Thank you, Madam President. I think people know where the votes are this evening. One of the individuals, the first individual to speak tonight was Jeff Cohen and others. But Jeff is a forming partner and the leading advocate for No Place for Hate. Salem is indeed divided on this issue. People have their opinions. They should be entitled to their opinions. The whole idea, as I understand it, speaking with Jeff, is this is to allow diversity in the community, to allow people to have different points of view without being subjected to being called a white racist. I'm very disappointed that that was brought up this evening. We're all one community. We have different opinions on this issue. So I'm hopeful that after you go out, there are people in your neighborhoods, perhaps in your own family, who feel differently than you do. I hope that you'll respect them as they respect you. As you all know, there's a petition going forward to put it on the ballot. I'm very, very pleased that there hasn't been any disruption with people trying to get signatures or trying to demean people who are getting signatures, just like people who oppose this ordinance aren't here to demean any of you. So there are people on the fringe of each side who will get involved in things that none of us want. Let's truly make Salem a place that's tolerant, that has no place for hate. As a lot of you have those badges, a lot of you wear those shirts, attend those meetings. I hope you'll live up to that creed. I know most of you will, and people on either side who step out of line, I hope that the proponents of the initiative, as well as the opponents of the initiative, will get people to stand in line. We're one Salem, and we should be a place, no place for hate. Thank you.
Councilor Dibble, Councilor Epley, Councilor Sargent.
Thank you, Madam President. I think most of you know that I attended just about every rally and every meeting all around Salem, from just a few people to a couple hundred people. Attended the rally behind Old Town Hall, spoke heavily against Salem becoming a sanctuary city. Since December, at our last council meeting of 2016, I stood and said Salem should not be a sanctuary city, and I said that I didn't like the way the process was being handled. I was probably the most against this whole process of, in my opinion, of any of the councilors here. Okay? Along the way, I held fast to that the whole way with several hundred emails I had sent out, Facebook postings, on and on. And at the end of the day, on our last meeting, I was ready to vote against it as well. Because in my opinion, it was against federal immigration laws, it was against the state policing laws. I didn't want to put a target on the backs of these immigrants by doing this. But this council made some changes after hearing 5 hours of excellent testimony. The testimony did not sway my opinion, however. It were the changes that this council made to the document to the point that I felt that it was no longer in violation of the federal laws and no longer in violation of the state laws, and it was something that became legal, and there's actually some good to this whole thing, allowing undocumented, or illegal if you want to say that, but I'm going to say undocumented, to allow the undocumented immigrants of Salem to reach out to the Salem Police Department, or reach out to the Salem Fire Department in case of an emergency. That's a good thing for everybody in Salem, and so far of the over 200, maybe close to 300 people that I've discussed this with since the last vote, you'd be amazed how many emails I got on this. It was amazing how I flipped my vote. And I'm not flipping it back. I'm staying fast tonight, okay? But it's amazing how many people received a copy of the actual ordinance, and I would like to see the actual ordinance after tonight printed in the paper, and let people at home read this ordinance line by line by line. Nowhere in here does it talk about sanctuary, but it does have some benefits of allowing undocumented to call the Salem police, to call the emergency, call the fire department if they need help. And I see no problem with that at all. We should all be thankful for that if we live in Salem. That's a good thing. Madam President, a couple of clerical errors I'd like to see amended tonight if possible. If we can do this, on the third line under an ordinance, the second half of that sentence needs to be deleted because the council deleted the section forming the Inclusionary Advisory Committee. So that line, and then under Article 17, the same thing needs to be deleted because this is an ordinance that provides city services relative to immigration status, and the whole section of the committee has been removed. The only other, and again, these are all clerical.
So are these motions to amend that you're making here? Councilor?
Yes, sorry, Madam President. In our previous committee action, we did separate these out, so that would only be, that's basically a scrivener's error that they remain within the text of final passage because that section was separated out as a separate motion. So that is coming before us. We've scheduled that meeting for next Thursday. So the President has scheduled that for next Thursday. So they are I don't believe we actually need to, we can so move to strike it, but from here, but we do have that as a separate motion before, so this is simply a clerical error.
Madam City Clerk, if we change this, do we have to re-advertise?
Yes.
All right, so can you tell me again what they are? So you want to...
I simply want to strike in line 3 and line 8, the exact same wording says, comma, and inclusionary advisory committee. Because it's not part of the ordinance. Maybe it should be, but it's not. It's not in this document. It's an error. When that whole section was deleted, that wording should have been deleted. Just trying to have a clean document.
Councilor Ripley.
Madam President, respectfully, I would ask the Ward 7 councilor to withdraw his motion to amend. And the reason why I say that is if we're, in fact, and I heard from all councilors, at least my memory is, that they're in favor of some committee being formed. And so that portion is in committee, or the ad hoc committee at this point. So it may not technically be, if we pass this tonight, it may be superfluous tonight, but 2 weeks from now, when we come back for our next meeting, we very well may have the committee, and so we wouldn't need to advertise that again. So I understand the concern of the good Ward 7 councilor, but I would just respectfully request that he withdraw his motion so that we can settle those issues in committee relative to the advisory committee, and that we just go forward with the draft as written.
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I may continue? I appreciate the good Ward 4 comments there, Ward 4 council's comments. But I think it can very easily be added back in when the committee is formulated. And that way there, this document is clean, and the revised document with the committee also will be clean. Keeping them, I'm just looking for a clean document. The last clerical...
Point of parliamentary inquiry, Madam President. Is it the case that if we do go forward with a motion to amend this evening, that we can't pass this evening for a second passage and that we need to delay it?
No.
You can pass it.
You can pass it as amended for second passage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, Madam President. That is my intent, to make these minor clerical changes, have a clean document, and put it before the council for a full vote tonight, which I've checked to make sure that that could happen tonight. I'm not looking to slow this down. Let's vote on it tonight. The third and final clerical error on here would be under policy, section 2, page 2 rather, policy, section 2-2062, second paragraph, letter B, on the first line. City employees, with the exception of police officers who shall abide by, the word shall is directing us politicians here to the police department and how to do their job. And I stated this at our last month's meeting, that it's in violation, in my opinion, of state policing laws. And if simply that word shall is removed, this is something that I can support tonight. The same as last time, in my opinion, we are in violation of laws, other laws, when we're directing the police officers in how to do their job. So if the council can bear with me and simply remove that one word shall, this document I will fully support tonight. Thank you.
Councilor, I would say that some of your suggestions are, I would say, Scribner errors, but that last request, I think, requires a motion and discussion, because that, taking a word like shall out, does change the meaning. So if you'd like to have that discussion, why don't you make that motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If we all remember, that one paragraph was significantly jumbled and reworded, and the city solicitor said that she would reword it to the point that she would separate the matter between this ordinance being linked to the police department policy. But when shall is still in here, the two are still linked. So yes, I'll make the motion to have simply that word shall under that one paragraph B, and the two lines that I referenced earlier simply to be deleted from this ordinance. Thank you.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second? Okay, and the discussion?
None. Thank you.
Any discussion? No? Yeah, so, Counselor Dibble, if you can reduce all those amendments to writing for the city clerk as well?
I'd be happy to.
Okay, so, Counselor,
Roll call vote on the motion?
roll call vote, yep, 3 hands, yep, okay. All right, so,
Discussion? Madam President? On the discussion?
yes, still in the
I
discussion.
think the Ward Council brought up valid points. I haven't heard anything to the contrary. I second it, so there could be some discussion. If some reason that proponents don't want to change, I'm certainly willing to listen. But we put a lot of time into it, it appears, and if there's a reason that it shouldn't be changed, I'm willing to listen.
Counselor Epley, Counselor Fury.
Thank you, Madam President. On this motion, I'm against it because we had a full discussion about this at the last meeting, and we actually took the Good Ward 3 counselor's suggestion as to language, to which, and I don't have this in front of me directly, but the clause was, which shall be subject to, if memory serves. So we just changed it from a separate sentence to a clause of which shall be subject to. And all the 7 who voted in favor with that shall included. So that's the same ordinance that I want to pass this evening, so I'll be against removing the word shall from the document.
Counselor Fury, Counselor Churio.
Yes, please. I think we had the police chief, city clerk, talk about this issue clearly to all of us. And it's clearly, this shall situation is incorrect. We've spent a lot of time on this before, many meetings involved in this. To get to this point, second passage is inappropriate, sincerely. I believe the message must be kept and vote on it tonight. For us to delay, defer with wordage, it's incorrect. The message is clear, yes or no. If you want to delay this, delay. If you want to take a vote back, take it back. I will not. We've spent too much time. Salem is a sanctuary city, has always been. Massachusetts has always been a sanctuary state. And the United States of America, we just did the Pledge of Allegiance with liberty and justice for all, has always been, and always will be, a sanctuary. Just because another administration comes in, that Pledge of Allegiance doesn't change. So our message tonight, second passage, clear to every citizen in Salem, sanctuary city. If we delete this and go to shall, it's really inappropriate, Councilor. I disagree totally. We've come too far. We have too far to go. This is just a small one step as a city, not to divide us, but to bring us together. We need to seek things that bring us together. Whether the referendum is put on the ballot or not, we need as a city of peace, signed by the Indians over here. Namke. We just did the Student Government Day. We gave them all a tour. You were here. All of us, some of us were here for Student Government Day. What message do we send to our young people? I taught for 40 years. I adopted 5 sons. What message does it send? For us to delay or defer over a word. That is there. That is there. How clear can we be? So I strongly disagree with any change tonight, and that's why we're bringing it up tonight now, early. And I think no vote should change. I think sincerely, honestly, Sanctuary City, the vote we took 7-4 should stay. Thank you.
Was it Counselor Epley next?
No.
No? Okay, then it's Counselor McCarthy, Counselor Churio.
Okay. Thank you, Madam President. If I may, Counsel, if I could just borrow this again. I'm going back to last month, and I believe when you read in Section 2-2062, the policy under B, it says, city employees, comma, and I'll leave out what's between the commas. City employees shall not ask for information about immigration status and the performance of daily tasks unless required to do by federal, state statute, regulation, or court decision. We all realize that this body should not be dictating police policy, which we do not. So when you put what's in the commas back into the context of the paragraph, it says city employees, comma, and then this is where it comes in, with the exception of police officers who shall being the consistent word because it is in the paragraph after the comma. It says, with the exception of police officers who shall abide by police department policy. So right there, if you look at the way the paragraph was constructed, I think it reflects what the conversation was from last month, which is what we all talked about for a long time, but it's the shall is consistent. So I respect the Ward 7 Council's position, but I think if you really look at the composition of the whole paragraph, the shall is the consistent word to make it so that it is consistent, because the first part refers to city employees, and the middle part that's in the parentheses refers to the police department, who shall abide by their own departmental policy. So I would respectfully disagree with the Ward 7 Council's interpretation. I think shall is the appropriate word because it's consistent with the rest of the paragraph.
Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Madam President. The good Ward 1 councilor basically said almost everything that I had to say just now, but far better. So I'll move on, on with this and say, yeah, this is very clearly not directing the police department to do anything. We're not giving orders to the police department. We're merely saying the police department shall abide by their policy. We're not setting said policy. So we're not giving them a directive. We're not telling them something that would be illegal under state law. It's simply saying the police department has their own policy. We're acknowledging it here and then moving on to say what the city employees do. So I would not support that. I don't inherently have a problem with removing the additional uses of inclusionary advisory committee, but we do expect we will have that along following that second part of the ordinance probably by our next meeting. So I don't have a problem with leaving it in here either, because assuming that we do pass, and the mood on the floor a couple of weeks ago was very clearly in favor, even for opponents of this ordinance were in favor of establishing this committee. So that will wind up joining it under here in just a couple of weeks. And to be simple and practical about it, if we pass these language changes, no bad intention to them, they don't make any real difference in the heart of the matter. And they just mean we have to go out and advertise an ordinance change again. And I just don't see the point in doing second passage and then having to advertise it once again in the paper because the language has changed slightly. So I would be in favor of just passing it as it is, and let's move ahead, move forward, and let all these people who are here to watch us go home.
Councilor Lovely.
Yeah, I'm certainly an advocate for what was asked for was an advisory committee. I wanted something with a little more strength in it. I assumed that it would be, a board that we would set up. So if we come next week, decide that it's a board, we're going to make an amendment anyway, because we're not going to have an ordinance that refers to an advisory commission in the ordinance. So either way, we have to advertise. I don't mind that it stays in, but maybe it should come out because there is no advisory committee currently. I think that support is there for a commission that's going to have a little bit more oomph than an advisory commission to the mayor. So one way or another, we're going to have to amend it, I assume. I think most people would agree that we're not going to have an ordinance if we have a commission that refers to an advisory commission. So that's my...
Councilor Terrio.
Sorry, thank you, Madam President. Just to answer that, my understanding on how this would operate, though, is that if we amend this tonight, we will have to advertise it next week. If we don't amend, once we make the committee decision, then we can advertise that all at once. And really, if we really want to amend the language at that point, yes, we will be amending this ordinance to add that, but that'll be a separate advertisement. Basically, I'm trying to save one advertisement step.
Any further discussion? No? Okay, the motion, Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. Am I clear in understanding that by removing the wordings on the committee at the top and by removing the word shall, would that delay passing this ordinance at all?
No, it just means that we'd have to advertise it, though, because it would be a change from what was posted.
The vote still can take place tonight?
Correct.
Okay. I'm wondering if we could suspend the rules to have the city solicitor or the assistant city solicitor to clarify, because that department was the one that reworded this entire paragraph under policy on the police department. They were here a few minutes ago. They're the ones that reworded the wording of this and really jumbled the whole thing up, and I thought that meaning the word shall, part of that whole sentence was coming out, but then it slid into the first sentence up above as it got jumbled around. So if the direction from this board to a police department in Salem the order is taken off, this is something, removing that one word shall, this is something that I can support, because again, it goes back to not being illegal, in my opinion. And if the city solicitor can clear that up, then we can all go home earlier tonight. Thank you.
Is there any objection to suspending the rules? I'm not entirely sure if the city solicitor is in the building right now.
The assistant clerk is checking.
I hear footsteps.
You only have one set. Excuse me. Councillor Epley.
I call the question since the solicitor is not here.
I'm sorry?
I move the previous question.
Okay. So we, the assistant clerk was going to see if she could get a hold of the assistant city solicitor, but based on your motion to move the question.
Previous question.
Yeah. So all those in favor of moving the previous question?
Can we clarify for everyone where we're?
So the first question was the amendment for, the amendment to the ordinance that's being, that we're taking up for second passage. So Councilor Dibble's amendments were, I think he reduced them to writing. There was some Scribner errors, and then there was the issue of the shall. Correct? So, Councilor Dibble.
If I may, Madam Chair, I believe that all three of these very, very minor changes are Scribner errors, that the word shall was not part of the original package. It all got jumbled, it was down below, it got moved up. And it was the same discussion that we had with the city solicitor at our last public hearing, was to separate the linkage. And the city solicitor was present at the last meeting, and she said she was dividing the linkage between this ordinance and the direction given to the police department. The word shall, still in this one sentence, still, this is a minor issue here, folks. It's a minor issue in that the word shall being in here, this board is still giving direction to the Salem Police Department on how to do their job.
Okay, so let's vote on the ordinance as amended based on Councilor Dibble.
Madam President, we were voting on the amendment, not on the amended ordinance. The issue is whether we're adopting the amendment. That is the underlying question.
Yes. Oh, did I not communicate it that way? Okay, we'll give this to the, all right, so the issue is whether or not we're adopting the amendment to the ordinance. That's the question we're voting on, so all those in favor? Opposed? Opposed. The matter doesn't carry. Okay, now we're back to the original motion. Oh, Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Madam President. I was, I think, next in line after Councilor Dibble when we were on the main issue.
Okay. Thank you for keeping track.
Thank you, Madam President. This has been debated. Obviously, I'm in favor. This really my comments have to do more with the potential, for the petition to place this on the ballot. And what I would say is this. Anytime a human rights or civil rights issue comes up, it's the responsibility of representatives of government in making those decisions. And the reason why I say that, Madam President, is that at this level, at the city council level or any legislative body level, we take the heat. It takes it off the people. If we as leaders take the heat, one side or the other can vote any or all of us out of office. That's the release valve. That's the democratic release valve in addressing this kind of an issue. If same-sex marriage were put up to a ballot initiative, I don't know that it would have passed. And so I don't know that I would necessarily be married today. If civil rights legislation had not been passed, but instead was put up to a vote on whether Jim Crow laws should be repealed, I don't know that that would have passed if put to a popular vote. So anytime that you have that kind of an issue, a human rights or a civil rights issue, it should not be put on a ballot. Can the people legally, can individuals legally do it under the charter? Absolutely. There's no question that it is legal for that to happen. I'm just asking for our better angels within our community to think before they sign. I disagree with one of the proponents of the ordinance in saying that he wants to sign the ballot, to have this put on the ballot because he thinks it can pass. I think this will absolutely pass, that Salem will pass this if it were put on the ballot. But it's too divisive. If you're someone who is a member of this community that is affected by this, and the people, their neighbors, are voting on whether or not they're going to have the dignity of being able to approach the police and feel safe in approaching the police, then that is awful. It's just awful. So I would ask our better angels among us to not place this on the ballot. If it's the will of 3,600 or however many signatures that's necessary to put it on the ballot, this will prevail. We will prevail, but it will be a very painful process. So I hope again that for those purposes that folks think before they sign.
Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Madam President. Once again, the first thing, my first statement is what he said. My second statement, a little bit more in actual detail, is this has been a long and torturous process from when the first proposed version of this was put forward and then withdrawn back in December and put it on the radar screen of basically everybody. Something that was really important that came out with this is what the purpose of this ordinance has been primarily to affirm what we do. This is how we do business in Salem. This is how our police want us to do business in Salem. This is how our schools do business in Salem. This is how city government works. You don't, and it's been said, if you're coming to pay a tax bill, they don't check your citizenship papers. When you're putting a child in school, they need to know they need to know about what language you speak. They don't need to know where you're from. The state mandates it. When our police are looking to solve a crime, they want victims to be able to come to them without fearing that our local police are going to be immigration agents. They're not, and they never have been. And other than that guy down in Bristol County, they don't try and do that in this state. When we deal with these issues, these are not just numbers, these are not just illegals, these are not just undocumented. These are our neighbors. There are not that many of them in this city. We all know that. But there are neighbors. Their extended families are our neighbors. These are people we see, we interact with. We heard some of their stories in the process of doing this. And this ordinance that we've created has, frankly, very few teeth. Virtually none. It's really just an affirmation that this is Salem, this is how we roll, this is what we do, we're going to keep on doing it. And these policies may or may not have put further crosshairs on our back. I personally think that, however erratic this administration is, they have bigger fish to fry than what's going on here in Salem. They have people who are taking a lot more aggressive stands than Salem is. They have cities that are going far, far farther than Salem is. What we've proposed here, what we passed 2 weeks ago, is exceedingly modest. And it's mainly a statement by the city that has been blown up by a lot of people to mean more in both directions, frankly, than it actually does. But, I posted this way back when I was first talking about this before we had our meeting. I posted this online and I used the old parable of the man and the starfish. And And I'll say here, there's very, very few people here, and we're not helping, we're not, through what we are doing here as government, helping them all. We can't possibly help them all. But like with the young boy tossing the starfish out, it made a difference to that one. And that's all we're looking to do tonight and move this forward. And if that's something that people want to go out and hang out in a tent in the Willows and get signatures for, so be it. I'm disappointed that people feel that what we're doing here is so assertive and so in your face that that's what they need to do to combat it. But I'm also very comfortable, like my colleague said, I'm very comfortable that in the end, should this make it this far, and it becomes the big issue of the fall, pretty comfortable that Salem in the end is on basically the right side. I have a lot of faith in my fellow citizens. I have a lot of faith in the members of my ward, the people in my ward. I have a lot of faith in most of the people who've communicated with me about this, and the people I've met, the people I've talked to, and the people who've questioned it. And I think that in the end, pretty much most people's better instincts are what will take hold. And I have a lot of faith in this city that I've lived in now for 27 years that, we're better. Thanks.
Councilor Sargent, Councilor Famico.
Oh, thank you, Madam President. We talked about human rights a little bit, and this ordinance doesn't give anybody any human rights, and it doesn't take any away. It does nothing different than we've always done it. And I believe we've always done things right. We've always treated people fair. The mayor said we're going to do things the way we've always done them. The police chief said we're going to do things the way we've always done them. The city solicitor said we're going to do things the way we've always done them. Our neighbors are going to do things the way they're going to be the same neighbors we've always had. And I have people from 6 different countries live on my street. I've never heard anybody ask them if they're citizens or not. It's a non-issue. But there is going to be one big thing, and a ballot question, or this vote tonight is going to decide: are we Salem, Mass, or are we Salem, a sanctuary city? And that term's become divisive around the country. Some people are upset about the election results. We can't change that. We have to move forward. We have to. Sanctuary. The word sanctuary is dividing our nation. We have freedom of speech and no place for hate. Does it still apply to everybody? Or is it a no place for hate only for the councilors you agree with, or the people you agree with? Around our campuses where people fought for freedom of speech in the 1960s, students are shouting people down because they differ with their opinion. Who would have ever thought that our college campuses would be shouting down people and having them have to walk out and take away their freedom of speech and having to walk out with an escort from a college campus? Tell me that isn't dividing our nation, as this issue is dividing our city, right? If you don't know that Salem is the kind of city that treats people right, then you didn't grow up in the city of Salem that I grew up in. You didn't have the neighbors I had, that took you underneath your wing, that neighbors with 8 kids that took you along with them. At a woman's wake, the nicest thing that was said to me was, "You're my 9th child." Okay, and I needed that family to be their 9th child. We have always helped each other out. Our policemen aren't just policemen, they're referees in basketball games. They're down the park. Someone in my family was in trouble, the policeman would come by and pull me into the car and drive me to the Willows and back. How's so-and-so doing? That's the kind of city we've always been. We don't need a title for someone to tell us who we are. If you think we need the word sanctuary to define who we are, you haven't been around here long enough. This city gives a damn about people, gives a damn about the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and takes in their huddled masses and all those cliches and phrases that we do. But nothing is going to change who Salem is, who we are, where we come from. We've always been a city of immigration. From the time we were the 4th largest trading nation in the world, and I know Salem's not a nation, but we were the 4th largest. We didn't just bring home products. We brought home people from every place we went to with us also. There were people that moved into this town 10, 15 years ago and think Salem just got people of color living here. We've been that way since day one, okay? I'm saying we just need to be who we are to be called Salem. We don't need anything else. And I believe this sanctuary status brings more attention to our undocumented people than we need to bring. They're flying underneath the radar. I'm worried about the word sanctuary bringing more people in and cause more service for our taxpayers. And I'm also worried about that word sanctuary attracting an element we don't want here. And that element, like it or not, will prey upon their own. Every group of immigrants preys upon their own people, no matter what group you are, who you were, when you came from, Irish, French, Italian, whatever. And I don't think we need that either. I think it's the wrong way to go. Let people go. During the Underground Railroad times, we hid slaves escaping north. We were supposed to turn them back over to the Southern authorities, but we didn't. They painted chimneys white, they moved at night, people hid them. But there was one big difference. There was nobody grandstanding trying to take credit for it. There was nobody running on re-election on the issue. Look at me, I'm helping. We did it quietly, we did it efficiently, we did it Salem, the way Salem does things, the way we're doing things now, all right? Otherwise, we wouldn't have been able to help as many of those people, right? So let's just be Salem. We don't need the sanctuary city. And as for me, no matter what's been said to me about us by anybody, I give you complete forgiveness. I know this is a divisive issue. I don't care. Excuse me, we've been called a racist, and I forgive whoever called me that. I didn't think I was putting on a comedy show tonight. This is a serious issue. With that, this meeting's over, it's over. Tomorrow's another day. I hold no grudges towards anybody who has a different opinion than me, and I hope other people feel the same. But as for me, I can't support my hometown having a title sanctuary city. Salem's good enough for me. Thank you.
Councilor Famico, then Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. Sorry I was on my phone. I was looking at ordinance and also looking on ordinances here. Going through all this, connected to this whole discussion right now, a couple years ago we had a conversation in this chamber about the police chief. It's actually the city marshal. So when we're looking at the regulations and how police chiefs get in the ranks and even start, we fall under the civil service requirements that say there's certain testing and how you move up the ranks. Within our actual city ordinance, and during all of this, I learned at that time that by city ordinance you have your organizational structure of your police department too, which is setting it up. But then later on with it, it talks about taking an oath of office, outside employment, and then there's also parts of duties of certain patrol officers that 3 shall do this, 1 shall do that. I was going through, and I can confirm in about 30 seconds. I was looking at the towns, but for the towns in order of police and police chiefs, it says by Mass General Law that officers shall abide by what the police chief says in the regulations, so that's mass law. So if that's the case, and if I could have 30 seconds, I was looking at the town, if it's that they shall abide by these regulations, if it's by mass law, it would trump our ordinance, and it wouldn't be us saying that, it would be that reconfirming. If I could just have a 30-second recess to finish that, if councilors are okay. That would then alleviate this conversation about us telling somebody that they shall do this if the discussion is all about the shall. Right, I know, but later on, with that, there's still a concern with one counselor with the use of the word.
Councilor Famico, we already voted on that.
I know that, but there's still concern with going forward with that part still there. Is that correct?
I don't believe so. We've got the straight second passage under discussion here.
I think there's still concerns from before from one counselor. I could be incorrect.
No, but we're beyond that.
Okay, Councilor Gerard, then Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. A few years ago, when I was working at the front desk of the Y, there was a massive fire in the Point, and there were dozens of families that were left homeless. And during that time, the call was put out for if anyone could make a donation to bring it to the Y. Our basement, which is like 5-6 rooms, was completely filled with donations. I even saw a child come in and bring his Xbox for other kids. And when this has come up and the divisions that this has caused in the city, I keep asking myself, where did that community go? Where did we what happened. We used to take care of our own, and we should be taking care of our own. And what this ordinance says, and it's been stated, but what this ordinance says is that you will not be asked for any sort of immigration status, for your citizenship, for any sort of papers when you go take out a library book, when you drop your kids off at school, when you come here to pay taxes, when you come to give public testimony. That's not going to be the first question. And it's hard for me to think of what the opposite of that is that we're encouraging or we're supporting a world where everyone will be asked for papers? Or is it that we're going to say, well, if you are a certain background, we're going to ask for papers? And that's discrimination, and that's not who we are as a community. And furthermore, when we look at this ordinance and we look at the 10th Amendment, and the 10th Amendment separates the powers of what's the responsibility of the federal government, what's the responsibilities of the state government. And in looking at other documents, such as the police chief was kind enough to send us a list of all crimes that can be that you can be tried for in Massachusetts. It's a 162-page list. Not a single one of them say anything about a visa. Not a single one say anything about immigration status. And in further looking at what the federal government is now putting out, they put out weekly lists of cities that don't honor detainers. We don't fit that criteria. You can see there's a number of cities and towns and municipalities that do not support detainers, and they're included on that list. This does not say that. Just because the word sanctuary is in the title, that doesn't mean that we now are going to be some sort of free-for-all. And we still hold our laws to be truths, and we still stand up for people. And it's so important as a community that we support each other and we support this ordinance, because at the end of the day, what this ordinance says is that we respect you and you are home regardless of where you're originally from. And how can you disagree with that?
Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. I appreciate the good Ward 1's comments to help try to clarify this, and the Ward 2 councilors' efforts just to clarify this as well. With a lack of attendance from the city solicitor or the assistant city solicitor, I'm wondering, and I will rely upon one of my fellow councilors if they can clarify from those councilors that act as a lawyer in their private lives, if they can simply answer the question to me on that one paragraph under policy, section B. Does that first line direct, and this is something I want to vote on tonight and vote yes, as I did the last time. So I'm wondering if one of my colleagues can clarify, does that line of city employees, with the exception of police officers who shall abide by the police department policy, does that line direct from this board to the police officers and how to do their job?
Councilor Lovely?
In a word, I would say no. I don't have any problem. I understand what your concern is, but I think it's overstated, and I'm very comfortable with the word. I did want to support you because I know you want to be, you voted in support of this, and I know you want to vote in support of it this evening. I don't want this to be a stumbling block, because I really think it has no bearing in your concerns. That's my opinion. Maybe that other learned counsel would weigh in as well.
Councilor Ripley.
I have made it a practice since I was elected that when I'm here on this floor, my job is not to be an attorney. My job is to be a representative. So I won't be providing any legal advice.
Thank you. Councilor Dibble.
Yes, thank you, Madam President. I thank the good Ward 3 councilor's opinion, and I respect it. And at this time, because the ordinance simply gives protection and assurance to undocumented here in Salem that they can call the police department and they can call the fire department without fear, I will be voting to support this tonight. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I too will be voting in favor of this again tonight, and I'm very proud to live in the city of Salem. We all, everybody, this is one of those things that, yes, it seems to have become divisive. I encourage anyone who doesn't agree with me, and they're entitled to not agree with me, I respect that, to read the ordinance. And usually when I get the response from people, well, it seems benign. I don't understand, but I think it's going to be a campaign issue, and so be it. As was stated, they have that right. But as someone who has brought up kids in the city of Salem, never once even questioned in my mind when my kids brought other kids home, where they were from. When I used to take the baseball team, I hope there's no police officers here, I used to take the baseball team in the back of my truck, and half of them would be sitting on compound buckets because they couldn't have a ride.
Too much information.
They needed a ride home.
The statute of limitations is...
Yeah, the statute of limitations on that. I never once questioned that. I never once questioned when, after I had the immense pleasure of coaching a lot of kids, whether it was in basketball or baseball, I never once, when I was talking with their parents about what we could do to help their child better develop, whether or not that individual that I was speaking with was documented, undocumented, whatever label. And I think that's what this really becomes, is about labels. People don't like the label sanctuary. And as I tell people that when they look at it, and as the Ward 7 counselor suggested, when it first came in December, I did not like the ordinance when it came in. It did a lot, for lack of a better word, labeled a lot of things that I don't think that we needed to. And I think that with a lot of work and some pullback and regrouping, I think there's an ordinance that's in front of us that, if only at a small level, gives some people the thought that we actually, as a city, we understand. Because I think the most telltale sign was the day after the vote we took a couple weeks ago. I was told by somebody that the woman, I don't know if she's here, that was the guidance counselor at the high school, that, as she referred to in her testimony that evening, that there were kids that were, for whatever reasons, their perceptions were they were afraid, so they weren't going to school. Whatever those reasons were, whether they're afraid for themselves or they were afraid for their parents or whatever it was, they all came back to school the next day. So, I mean, people can say with the actions that we take here tonight, they do mean something, even if at the smallest level, to give a part of our community the belief that they can live within our city, and we will treat them with the respect that they're due. And one last little anecdote. I find this funny because both my boys graduated from Salem High School, and my youngest played football, and the freshman football games used to be on Thursday nights. So on Thursday nights, you wear a suit, and I used to have to give a couple of the guys, because the games were at Bertram, and we'd have to give a couple of guys ride back up the street to the high school. And my son used to they used to go to my son and say, "Why's your father wearing a suit?" "Don't worry, he's in the mob." So kids are kids. They do what they do, but they're good kids. They're all good kids. And those were the days when the kids would look at you and they would wonder what you do. And my son couldn't explain what I did because, kids, though I'm sorry I missed what happened here earlier today with the Student Government Day. I had to, my day job got in the way of me being here, but I understand the kids that came were phenomenal. And so I think those are the lessons that we have to take, that kids do watch what we do. And sometimes our own kids give us, labels that we don't like because it's easier for them to say he's in the mob. Because he's in high school, it made sense. But I think that it's important that we all realize that tomorrow is another day, and Salem is Salem, and I agree with a lot that's been said. And I as well have received multiple emails, and I understand some people don't agree with me, and I understand that, but I hope that, in the long run, when we all take a big, a week from now, a day from now, a month from now, when we decompress a little bit and we realize, you know what, we just got to keep moving forward. So with that, I would, if there's any more comments, I think we just move the vote.
Council Fury.
Mr. President, Madam President, that good counselor, Mrs. Longus, is in the audience tonight, and she's receiving in May the Giving Tree Award and retiring after many, many great years of serving the city of Salem and serving a number of my sons that I adopted, 2 Cambodian sons. And she represents, and her son spoke from the heart, what this is all about. A number of us can remember in the past, I've been here in elective office for 33 years, that we've had things on the ballot over the years. We should not fear that. I think the better angels of Salem will appear in all of us, as Abraham Lincoln always went to, the first Republican president. I wish we had him today. He appealed to the better angels in all of us. Because if you look at the referendums in the past, a ticket tax, that went down, a ticket tax. A 4-year mayor that succeeded. Twice for the twice for the Community Preservation Act. You see that Community Preservation Act right here in this chamber. So I don't think we should fear a referendum. I think we should welcome it. People who sign this referendum goes to the ballot. The better angels of Salem. Secret ballot. That's the best gift that the government Constitution has given us. The Australian secret ballot. And the better angels in all of us will go to that secret ballot and cast their ballot for Salem and the flag. And whether you call it a sanctuary city or not, we are always a great city. A city on a hill, as Winthrop said. Thank you.
Okay, I believe there was a motion for a roll call vote. Were there 3 hands? Okay, Madam City Clerk, could you please call the roll?
Counselor Terrio?
Yes.
Counselor Sargent?
No.
Counselor Ryan?
No.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
No.
Counselor Gerard?
Yes.
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Famico?
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
No. In the matter of the second passage of the ordinance for city services related to immigration status, we have 11 councilors voting, 7 in the affirmative, 4 in the negative. The matter carries. Councilor Lovely. I'm going to have to ask you all to leave if we can't conduct our business here. Councilor Lovely.
Thank you, Madam President. Pursuant to Rule 14 of the Salem City Council, I want to give notice of my intention to move at the next regular meeting for reconsideration.
Thank you, Councilor. With that, there'll be no further motions regarding this particular item. I look for a motion to return to our regular order.
2-minute recess to allow.
2-minute recess? Sure. Do I see 2-minute recess? Okay. We'll take a 2-minute recess. Okay, Councilor Famico?
Yes, Madam President. First, going to go to page 4 to have a reappointment for Fred Atkins, and then we'll move on to the public hearing, and then I will, at that point, ask to go on to the road race, Salem Main Streets, and the other festival in Federal Street. But first, page 4.
So,
The second item down, held from Fred Atkins.
Councilor Famico moves that we take a lot of things out of order, and I think we're going to go one at a time. And the first one is on page 4. Appointments and reappointments. Madam City Clerk, the appointment of Fred Atkins.
Held from the last meeting, the mayor's appointment of Fred Atkins to serve on the Salem Harbor Port Authority with a term to expire March 23rd, 2019.
Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for confirmation by roll call vote.
Counselor Terrio moves for confirmation by roll call vote. Under discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Atkins, who's already up here, is...
Always prepared.
It's been a long night. Yeah, it's been a long night. We're moving forward quickly. His business, the yacht yard there off Glendale Street, is a long-established Salem business. I think the perspective as a commercial yard owner is something we can really use in the Port Authority. The services that they provide are immensely helpful to the. My boat has yet to break badly enough to need service over there, but knock on wood. But they've been a long-standing neighbor in Ward 5 for decades. They've been a major resource for Salem's boating community, and I think that level of expertise and knowledge is something that, in managing our new port, is something we really can bring to bear. So with that, I would ask for confirmation by roll call vote.
Any further discussion? Councilor Fury, Councilor McCarthy.
Madam President, I had the honor of teaching in Amesbury, Mass, where Lowell's Boatyard is. And we bring our kids down many times, my students and Cashman School, and it's such a rich heritage. Your boatyard, such a rich heritage of maritime, which our founding fathers did in Salem. So we're so very fortunate. Thank you for stepping up to the plate. You're going to make Salem shine in the future. The newest frontier of Salem is our harbor. Thank you very much.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. It's actually the oldest frontier is the harbor. That's where we all started, and I just want to rise, and I know it's been a long evening already, and I just briefly I had the first pleasure of meeting Fred. I want to say it was about 12 years ago when he was chairing the Harbor Committee, and that was when we were talking about the committee, was talking about what was going to happen with the harbor plan, and there was this big section of the harbor we always couldn't talk about, because that was the power plant. And it came up at every meeting for a whole year. It was once a month, and it would be, we can't talk about that, because at that point they weren't in any position to sell. It wasn't part of the plan. And I think that I'm really looking forward to working with Fred on the Port Authority, because I'm at what's that word I'm looking for? I'm an ex officio member. What's the word? Ex officio. Thank you. I couldn't remember it. It was something like that. I was looking at the lawyer for the help over there.
No advice.
We've established that. Thank you. I couldn't get the word out. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to working with Mr. Atkins. I think that he brings a wealth of knowledge, intimate knowledge of the harbor, and I think that it's a very important, as was just, I mean, it's where Salem's going to really reinvent itself, is going to be in the harbor. I mean, that's where Salem was first invented as a port, and I think that we're going to really reinvent ourselves in the next couple of years. But the groundwork that's going to be laid in the next 6 months to a year to try to figure that out is going to be very important. So I'm really looking forward to it.
Thank you. Did I see your hand, Councilor Dibble? Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. I also rise in support of Mr. Atkins. I don't know if he remembers me, but some 30-some-odd years ago, we spent a little bit of time together. My boat was moored in Glendale Cove, where your business is. And I enjoyed the conversations. I enjoyed you being active in the friendship when it was brought to Salem. I thank you for all of your efforts that you've done, and I think this appointment by the mayor, I think, is a wonderful appointment, and you're going to serve the Port Authority well. Thank you for volunteering.
Councilor Lovely.
Very briefly, the Atkins and the Dion family, longtime fixtures here in the Salem. I commend Fred for his support. His brother George has, for his service. His brother George has given great to the community as well. And Fred's father and my father were longtime employees of the GE and drove to work together for many, many years, going back to right after the war, where they both got out of the service and worked at GE. And I know it's a fine family, and I applaud the mayor's appointment. Thank you, Fred.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the appointment of Mr. Atkins? Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilor Terrio?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor Lovely?
Yes.
Councilor Gerard?
Yes.
Councilor Fury?
Yes.
Councilor Famico?
Yes.
Councilor Epley?
Yes.
Councilor Dibble?
Yes.
Councilor Milo?
Yes. Thank you. On the matter of the appointment of Fred Atkins to the Salem Harbor Port Authority, we have 11 councilors voting, 11 in the affirmative, 0 in the negative. The appointment carries. Suspension. Yes, Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for suspension of the rules to allow Mr. Atkins to address the council if he so chooses. I believe he does, because he's already here.
Any objection? Seeing none, Mr. Atkins.
Okay, well, thank you. I am honored to serve in this Port Authority, and I have been on the harbor since I was a little kid, lobstering. I work on the harbor, and I live on the harbor, and so, and my background is in marine engineering. I graduated of Maine Maritime Academy. I also shipped out on tankers from 1967 to 71 during the Vietnam War era, and after that, I actually worked in designing automatic control systems for power plants with Stone & Webster Engineering. So it kind of covers the whole broad spectrum of the harbor, so I look forward to really doing a good job and work at it. But thank you.
Wow. Okay, Councilor Famico?
Thank you, Madam President. Can we move back to page 3 for hearings?
Councilor Famico moves that we move back to page 3 under hearings.
Ordered that Light Tower Fiber Networks LLC to install a conduit at the intersection of Central and Essex Streets to the building located at 209 Essex Street.
Thank you. I guess you're here to speak in favor?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I'm used to getting up. But my name's Steve Cresamano. I'm with Light Tower Fiber Networks. Do you guys normally speak for yourselves? I mean, speak for the project?
No, this is good.
Oh, all right. I represent Light Tower Fiber Networks. Light Tower Fiber Networks petitions to install one 4-inch PVC conduit down the sidewalk of Essex and Central Street to serve the hotel, the new hotel being built, Hotel Salem. We plan on installing 109 feet. We're going to disrupt we know there's a nice brick area and everything, but we plan on doing a phenomenal job. I've been working with Heather. We're going to pick each individual brick out, trench, and put it all back the way it was. So.
Okay. Councilors have any, do councilors have any questions? No? Is there anybody else who'd like to speak in favor? Anybody speak opposed? Oh, sorry.
Just thank you for doing the bricks.
No problem. No problem, Jim. I owed you a phone call, too. I apologize for that.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah.
Anybody else in favor? Anybody opposed? Councilor Famico?
Thank you, Madam President. Kadafati Steve wrote to me earlier saying he might be here at 7:05, a few minutes late for the meeting, and if we had to, if we could go back to him later on, so he wrote for that.
Yeah.
But with this particular application, I am very happy with how this went forward. It's the first time in years that we've had this style of communication. About 2 weeks ago, or a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago now, Steve came and we did a site visit at the site, and part of that is because we have a couple of businesses that are right there. One is the Witch History Museum. They opened on April 1st, and this trench goes right by there, and we wanted to make sure that during this work, which is scheduled for next week's school vacation week, that they could actually get their visitors into the museum. So what we came up with is a plan. It's going to be a condition that we do this in sections, but also we looked at such things as during that sections that there's always one entrance, we have business open, communication going back and forth, and just talking about the bricks in that area and what we could do for that. So it was perfect. He also met with the woman who has the store right there. The other gentleman had broke his shoulder, but it was nice because with this type of work in a prominent location during school vacation week time, and also where a lot of people are walking and going by there, in a prime part of your downtown, you want to make sure you have that level of coordination. So that being said, I'm just going to add some conditions, or so move, I will, well first, if there's nobody else, I move that we close the public hearing. Oh no, move that, yeah, we close the public hearing.
Councilor Famico moves that we close the public hearing. All those in favor? All those opposed? The hearing's closed.
And I further move that we approve this with the following conditions, which we have already discussed as well. So the first one, that it's done in sections, so that at least one entrance to the Witch History Museum is accessible at all times. And I'll give this to the clerk after as well.
Thank you.
The second, that we have signs that say businesses open during construction, especially with those sections part. Third, that there is access for the trolley to be able to go by for that, because if we're going to close off that area, we need to let businesses know for that. Fourth is sweep the site at the end of the day, just make sure it's clean of debris. We've had some locations that when they're doing work, it looks a mess at the end of the day. The bricks that are removed, when they're labeled and placed back in the proper spots, and we follow our standards for how that will be. And also notification of surrounding properties, and to make sure that upstairs tenants are notified during that process, especially in the downtown. We oftentimes are finding that the first floor people are finding out, but people don't really always remember there's people upstairs, and to let them know for that. And the manhole will be 3 feet in diameter. The plans we got were 5, and he said 3. And that seems like a minor detail, but when you're looking at alleyways in the downtown, when you start having something this big filling up a ground space compared to something smaller, it takes away. And then the area from Essex Street to the manhole will be resurfaced with concrete from the property to property. And also work hours shall be 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., Monday through Friday, with work beginning next Tuesday, April 18th. We talked with the city engineer about that. Typically, road work will start at 7 a.m., but due to a downtown location that has bars till 1 a.m. or so, we figured we'd give people a little more than 6 hours of quiet outside. And then I move for approval with those conditions.
Okay. Any other discussion? On Councilor Famico's motion for approval with the conditions as stated? All those in favor? Opposed? The matter carries. Councilor Famico.
Madam President, I move that we move to page 20.
I'm sorry, page what?
20.
20. Councilor Famico moves that we move to page 20 for, what are we looking at here?
Second item down.
The
Salem Arts Festival.
Salem Main Street?
Yes.
Okay. Under petitions,
We have a petition from Kylie Sullivan, Executive Director of the Salem Main Streets, to close Front Street to vehicular traffic during the Salem Arts Festival on Saturday, June 3rd, and Sunday, June 4th.
Councilor Famico. Councilor Famico?
Oh, pardon, Madam President? I move for approval.
Okay, under discussion?
Move it be granted. I'll let Kylie speak first. If I could ask for a suspension of the rules to allow the petitioner to address us.
Any objection? Seeing none? Kylie.
Good evening, I'm Kylie Sullivan from Salem Main Streets. Thank you all for considering this. This is the 9th year of the Salem Arts Festival, and this would be the 4th year that we've been closing Front Street just from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. on only Saturday and Sunday. Part of it for public safety, we have on a good weather weekend, we have over 5,000 people in that area crossing between Old Town Hall and Artist Row consistently, but also to activate the street. So pending approval of being able to close the street, we'll be communicating with all the storefront businesses, again, making sure that they are aware this is coming. We are always trying to do better to communicate to the 2nd floor and 3rd floor residents on that street to let them know that that's going to be happening. And we've already been speaking with Councilor Famico about ways we could do that better and ways we could talk to the folks who have that private lot off of Front Street that tries to get in and out throughout the weekend. So we'll have police details on either end, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Councilor Lovely.
Just through you, what are the hours going to be blocked up?
10 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay.
So
Is that in
the
the
festival
petition?
starts at 11, so that gives us 1 hour to set up along the street, and then we tear down as quickly as we can.
Any other questions? Councilor Giroux.
Thank you, Madam President. Just want to say that I've been a volunteer of the Salem Arts Festival for a few years, and Kylie does a fantastic job, and I know that this is going to be a success again.
Even if there are no pinwheels? Any further discussion? Councilor Famico.
Thanks, Madam President. For this is one of my favorite events every year now. You can go in there and there's a little bit of everything. There are no pinwheels this year, but there are jellyfish on the way. It's actually
okay.
every week if you'd like to participate. It's using the plastic bags that will be banned starting in January and making jellyfish out of them. There's braiding. It's a community event for that. If you look at Salem Public Space Project, they have all the information about that. It's everyone coming together. But the plastic bag's due to the ban, and it's also going to have a little bit of education initiative in there. So it's bringing policy into art, which is awesome. And this year, they've been already doing a lot. If anyone's interested, I don't know if you still have tickets, but this Friday night is a fashion show, and that's to help raise some funding for this arts festival. But I'm a huge fan. I actually asked Kylie if we could shut down the street Friday night too, but we're due Saturday, Sunday. They always have something on either end to.
It's fine.
They have something on either end to let people know it's closed off and that there's something going on, which is great. When you have a street blocked off and you have something at either end, it draws people in. And I'm looking forward to it, so thanks for doing it again this year. Thank you.
Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Madam President. I also am in support of this. This has been a terrific event in the last few years that they've done the street closing to get some further activation of the space. I think it's worked out really, really well so far. It draws a lot of people in. It's helped the businesses that are there on Front Street draw even more people into the area, and it's helped their business. So I think it's been a positive in every which way. The art projects that they have come up with every year, from the hula hoops to the pinwheels, to the umbrella, the stuff that gets done every year is just amazingly creative and fascinating. And this year, the jellyfish, I've sat in a little office on Monday nights a couple of times now, braiding jellyfish tentacles out of strips of plastic, and it's a neat experience. It's a lot of fun, and frankly, as my colleague from Ward 2 said, looking up the Salem Public Space Project is a good way to learn about this, but there's community activities to help make the exhibits, and there's a lot of people helping with this. And as a note, tomorrow night is the fundraiser to help put this on with the fashion show. I know a lot of people are attending. I know the Ward 6 councilor is participating. And I know the shrink wrap from my boat is also participating, because it was being recycled by one of the artists to make kelp for the forest that they're going to be hanging in Old Town Hall. So it's a really neat experience.
Thank you. Any further discussion on Councilor Famico's motion that this be granted? All those in favor? Opposed? Matter carries. Thank you.
Page we're going to.
Councilor Famico, are we going somewhere else now?
Continue on for the next two items, Madam President. On page 20.
On page?
Page 20, so to continue to the next item, the request from Multi-Faith Organization.
Oh, okay. All right, further petitions.
We have a request from the Multi-Faith Organization to close Federal Street from Washington to Summer from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Sunday, June 4th, to hold a multi-faith festival to celebrate religious freedom.
Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Madam President. Could I ask for a suspension of the rules just to allow the petitioner to come up and provide folks at home an overview of what this means in case they're wondering?
Any objection? Seeing none? Gentlemen?
Thank you, Madam Councilor. My name is Mike Bodo. I live at 16 Cabot Street in Salem. And along with Fuzzy and several other people, we are the Multi-Faith Festival Committee. And we're putting on a festival for the celebration of religious freedom in the same weekend as Kylie Sullivan and the Salem Main Streets program. And so this is the first year we're going to do it. We're going to do it for at least 3 years. And it's going to entail bringing all the religious faiths together on one day, one afternoon. It's going to be a beautiful afternoon. And everyone's going to get a table or a booth, and they're going to be able to explain their faith to other people who might have questions. And also there's going to be a stage. We're going to have a lot of music performances inside Tabernacle Church, is the church that's hosting the event. And it's going to be a great thing. So the idea for the street closing is that we're going to have tables and booths, as I said, for all the different faiths to describe what they do. And we're also going to have kids' activities, hopefully a food truck, some other things. So we would like that street to be closed. We're going to try to petition, we will petition the residents of the street 2 or 3 weeks in advance to make sure that they're aware of the street closing. And the festival starts at noon, goes to 6 p.m., and be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Councilor Epley.
Yes, can you guarantee that the weather will be nice that weekend?
It's going to be June.
Any other question? Councilor Famico, Councilor Giray.
Thank you, Madam President. First off, the street from Washington, it should actually say to North Street. It's North Street at that point.
North Street.
It turns over right. I just pulled it up on Google.
Instead of Summer?
It turns over right prior to that, like right prior to Line Street.
Actually, we are not closing the whole street.
Right, but one end of it, Fuzzy,
Yes.
it says Summer at the end, and the street at that point is North.
Oh, okay, well,
Yeah, yeah.
this is according to the police, and what we're gonna actually allow people who live there, they're gonna come from the opposite direction, and we
That's
are not
according to
gonna
the
have
police.
anything on the side of the residents. The tables and the stuff are gonna be on the federal, the court side and everything, so we would not interrupt, and we will make sure at all times that fire trucks will have access if for anything, or emergency vehicles. So when we have the tables and stuff, even in front of the tabernacle where the whole closure is, there is gonna be room for emergency vehicles and things in case of emergency, so they can, do their job if they need it. Hopefully, we don't need it.
Counselor Fumiko?
It's a Sunday. Yes, Madam President. For this, I just ask one thing. We had this discussion in our committee last night about food trucks. Whereas it's a public street, to make sure that you look at our current policy regarding food trucks. I'm not sure what it is currently for that. It is something that we're having an ad hoc committee speak about, and that's later on in our agenda. But there are certain requirements now for the food trucks and locations, and I'm not quite sure the current status of that when it comes to city streets.
I believe it's a temporary license they might need to get, if I'm
daily
correct.
license.
But it won't be a lot. There might be 2 or
Right.
3. It's not going to be
But
like
there are certain,
like an army.
it's
of
not
food
up to me to
trucks.
say that, I'm just saying by our current rules
Sure.
for it, because right now we do have them on private property and we had them on the public part, but we're discussing right now of whether or not to allow them on public streets and in certain locations and when. So that hasn't been ironed out yet, and that's why we don't have food trucks popping up everywhere at every time.
Well, what we explained to the food trucks that they are coming, there is a couple. One of them is Turkish food. by the
Fuzzy,
way.
I understand, but right now, we need to first find out whether by city current regulations, if they're allowed on city streets. I love food trucks, I like the yummy food and everything, but we just need to make sure, especially because this is a public street, if you have the truck on your private property,
Okay, this is what I was gonna say.
just talk to the Board of Health for that. There is, because
Okay.
you said you having part on your site anyway, just make sure you have them in the right location. A little
We
hint for you.
explained to them that they're gonna go on the tabernacle if it's not allowed, so they are gonna supposed to get all permit by the city
Sounds
approval, or they're gonna have to go inside the church to be off the.
Counselor Gerard, then Counselor Lovely and Counselor Dibble.
Counselor Fumiko addressed my question.
Oh, okay. Counselor Lovely, Counselor Dibble. Counselor Dibble, Counselor Lovely.
I'm on the other side of Federal Street. Just, there's only a couple law firms there. Just let them know, because a lot of us work on Sundays, so if it's quiet, just somebody let them know that, and I'm sure they'll have no objection.
Fire the street, so if we fire that.
There's not that,
offices-
I'm just, if you
Sure.
could, I think, I don't think there's many residences there. I know they're rehabbing the Ronan Siegel building, but I don't think that's complete. But just so some hapless attorney doesn't wander into your meeting, not be able to get to their office. Thanks.
Sure, absolutely.
Counselor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. I rise in support of this. I applaud both of you for being here tonight, and thank you. Being someone who lectured at St. Anne's Church for almost 20 years, more of this is needed in Salem. And it doesn't matter what religion. It doesn't matter. But this is a great way to bring our community back together, for this two-day period. And you can count me in. I will be there. This is a good thing. As I was at Fawaz's, I won't say fuzzy anymore, public, at your mosque the other day. That was a wonderful ceremony, and I thank you for inviting the entire eastern Massachusetts there, it seemed like. I wonder if you just please address what are your provisions for recycling and trash during the event, so that when you walk away on Sunday, the place is really clean.
We are going to hire a private trash company for that, because it is something that the city will not pick up, and so we're going to have a private trash, and it will involve recycling and as well as raw trash. So that will happen, as well as 2 handicap restrooms. There is restrooms in the church, but there's an elevator to get to them, and sometimes people might not be able to fit or whatever, so there's going to be 2 porta potty type things.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I was at the same event, and that's essentially, I mean, politics is politics and religion is religion, but I think the founding of all of this was on a religious basis, and I believe in the next couple of years, this is going to get even bigger and broader. I mean, St. Peter's Church is also involved. I'm going to be talking to the Catholic Collaborative Tuesday night after Easter, I believe it is. Tonight is Holy Thursday, tomorrow's Good Friday. Happy Passover, everybody. The important thing is that if we can get focused on one God, then we are going to be fine. This whole, I mean, what happened tonight, you know, all this is it's politics. But this, we have to get back to our roots, really, and that's why we're doing it. In fact, the interesting thing is I've been here about 18 years, and back in the 1990s, I was doing the Arts Festival in Somerville, and the Somerville Arts Council, and now I've kind of I refound my roots, as it were, and I'm like, we got to do this for God. This can't, you know, I mean, arts are great and everything too, but it's like, this could be a lot bigger and better than we could ever imagine. Thank you. I appreciate your time.
Any further, Councilor Famico?
Yes. So I move we grant this. I'd like to add a couple of conditions, though.
Sure,
Tagged onto that. That's my thing tonight. Tagging on to the Ward 7 that we require for this as part of this approval, that there actually are recycling receptacles at either end and in the middle.
Okay.
And that they're properly, if they don't have the recycling symbol, to label it as such, just to make sure we have that, because even though we have a plan, sometimes we have a plan and we don't have a place for people to put them. We have a pickup and not a middle. And it's not you, it's sometimes other people that are like, oh, I'll just throw it in the trash. And the second thing is just to make sure when you leave the area that it's left clean of debris and like that the street doesn't have trash in certain places. But other than that, I'm excited. And have you invited different churches already throughout the community?
Several. The Catholics I kind of mentioned because I did go to Immaculate Conception a few times, and I know the timing of it is a little difficult for many. I think there's confirmation classes happen that weekend, as well as Salem High School is graduating on Friday. It's a busy weekend, and of course, you know, we're trying to kind of piggyback a little bit on the Arts Council too to make it, you know, even better. You know, it's going to be not something to be missed at all. Yeah, like I said, we're trying to, you know, that's the other thing too. I'll send emails to churches or different groups, not hear anything, so it's like, eventually, you know, this is the first year, the second year is going to be even better. We're trying to get everybody. We're inviting, well, the temple in Beverly is Temple B'nai Abraham. Rabbi Adler is on board. She's been on board since day one. So we're trying to get everybody under a big tent, but I know there's going to be some that we miss out on. The Catholics are a big part of that, definitely.
And have you spoken with the Salem police about this already, about the date?
Yes.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Actually, just to lead on what he said, as of now, we have Muslims, Jewish, Christians, and Buddhists on board. So this is what we have for now. Now, how many of each group will be, we don't know. So it could be maybe, well, our society, the Islamic Society of the North Shore is on board, and we're hoping the Malden Society will be on board as well. We have a couple of churches on board, we have a couple of temples on board, and we have the Zen in Beverly on board. And we're extending the invitation to any other religious group, and if anybody have suggestions, you are more than welcome to let us know, because we really want it to be inclusive about everybody and every religion that there is, because this is more about knowing each other, studying each other, and basically the more of that you do, the more the more together we'll be. Understanding each other is the best way to love each other.
And with your location, if you're expecting people along, you have the MBTA garage with the $5 rate for 12 hours, which should be less expensive than people going at the meters and still allow people to go to the Arts Fest.
Right. It is a Sunday.
Well, it's a Sunday, no, but with the parking in general and locations with the Arts Fest, even if you're looking for parking, it's right across the street too. Whether it's a Sunday, I messed that up, but.
That's right.
Just another parking option. And there's a Salem-owned lot next to that would be free on the Sundays too.
Any further discussion or any questions?
Also, I think I dropped this flyer off. You can go to our website and to see the lineup of the acts that we have there, as well as some just news. There's going to be a speaking program as well as the music program, and it's going to be a really eclectic day of
Okay, thank you. On Councilor Famico's motion that this be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know.
Councilor Famico?
Amended to make sure that that does say North.
Oh, excuse me, yeah.
Page we're going to.
Continue on with the road race application, that's next.
Which is on page 21, right? Okay. Further petitions.
We have the request of the Wicked Running Club to hold a road race, Miles Over the Moon, and use of city streets on July 14, 2017.
Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Madam President. Can I move for suspension of the rules just to allow the petitioner to go over their application?
Okay, no motion yet.
Oh, I move it if be granted, but then under discussion to allow the petitioner, I move for suspension of the rules to allow the petitioner.
Okay. Any objection? Seeing none?
Alrighty. Good evening, everybody. I am Julie Arison Bishop. I am the president of the Wicked Running Club, which is based here in Salem, Massachusetts. And we have the Miles Over the Moon race hopefully scheduled for July 14th, 2017. Upon the request of the Salem Police Department, we have changed the route for the race this year to better manage traffic to stay out of the downtown area. We've also worked with local city councilors to ensure that we are staying out of the Willows neighborhood as much as possible, especially during the busy summer season this year. So in working with both local councilors and with the Salem Police Department, we came up with a new route. And I believe because we have come up with a new route, that is part of the reason we are coming to you for approval for our race and for, I believe, road closures tonight as well. The race attracts 400 runners on average a year. Proceeds from the race have benefited in the past Salem High School. In 2015, we gave $2,900 to the Salem High School track and field program. Other ways that the Wicked Running Club has supported the city of Salem have included scholarship applications from students as part of the Wicked Frosty 4, which I do understand is a different road race, but it is a way we've supported. We also partner with the Salem Parks, Recreation, and Community Services Department on the Derby Street Mile road race, and we provide logistical support and volunteers for the road race. And unfortunately, it did not happen this year, although we had agreed to partner up and help out with the Snowshoe Classic as well. So we try to be good community partners. We try to make sure we are giving back to the city of Salem, and we look forward to bringing people into the city of Salem for an evening road race. We do get people who come not just from kind of the North Shore area, but we do get a number of runners who come from outside of the city as well. So we also look at this race as an economic benefit to the city of Salem, as a way that, kind of brings people in for a different reason. We get a lot of people who take advantage after the race of going out for dinner, going out for a drink. We've had people who've stayed for hotels in the city of Salem afterwards. So it's a really great opportunity to show off our city, to show off a different thing. Even with a different route, even though the route is not downtown, it still has the opportunity to show off a lot of Salem's waterfront. So speaking about harbor and everything else tonight, it's a great chance to show off many of Salem's wonderful assets. And we're delighted to plan it and bring it to the city and, continue to have the club be a partner to the city of Salem.
Thank you. Councilor Giroux.
Thank you, Madam President. As a member of Wicked and as someone who has run this race before, I'm really happy about the new route that we're not doing loops again.
We're going down Nomkeg Hill.
And we're going down the Evil Hill.
Yes.
So I appreciate that. And as Julie pointed out, that this really is an economic boon for the city, that after the race, whenever we try to go out to dinner or go out for a drink, it's really hard and we have to go place to place because it's packed with other runners. So I strongly support this.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Famico?
Yes, thank you, Madam President. Just one thing, I was just noticing on the description of it, the last line, Andrew Street, it says cross Essex onto Andrew. The map shows it differently, but it should be cross Webb onto Andrew.
Okay.
No big deal. So Julie had contacted the Ward 1 councilor and myself prior to this. She has agreed to, and also a move it be granted with the conditions Julie's already agreed to, that, well, tonight I'm going to add, bring a recycling receptacle if you have water
Already
bottles, have
planned.
something there. Our parks don't have them. And also with that, to notify the Salem Common Neighborhood Association, if you could post on their page as well.
We will do that, and the Bridge Street Neck Association as well.
Bridge Street Neck Association as well. And also with this, I'd ask especially due to the time of evening and it's when people are coming home from work, that we do a call red just to let people know, so when they're trying to come home or try to go out to dinner or whatever else, that they're aware for those areas.
Captain Stevens already, just so you know, does have that planned, as well as signage for the Beverly-Salem Bridge area as well, suggesting that if people would like to divert off of Bridge Street for that short period of time, that they can use the bypass
These are
road.
first things then, so great. Thanks for updating us with that. And then also to take it to this, when your race is done, would you mind just sending us a note to let us know how much you raised? Because it comes up often
Absolutely.
in conversation, and that way we have the feedback afterwards, versus at the next race, we get it right after.
Absolutely. May I add one more thing?
Absolutely.
With the proceeds from the race last year, besides giving to local track and field programs, one of the things that the Wicked Running Club has decided to do is create a youth running fund. And with that youth running fund, one of the things we will be focusing on with that is really establishing almost a miniature endowment for the Wicked Kids Race. The Wicked Kids Race is a half-mile race and a 1-mile race, which we were able to bring back to Salem this year, again, thanks to the partnership of the Salem Parks Rec and Community Services Department. One counselor here had a son who did quite well in that race, just saying. But we are delighted to be able to kind of enhance that race a little more. We'll be adding a professional timer for that race. For the non-runners in the room, this really gives all of us at the Wicked Running Club a chance to make these kids feel like they're part of something special. It's a very low-cost race. It's only $2. If anybody ever came up to us and said, you know, our family isn't in a position to spend $2 on a race, we don't care. We would happily just give them a bib and let them run the race, you know, whether they're from Salem or whether they're from a surrounding community as well. So we hope that it's something, too, that not only enhances, you know, health and well-being in the city of Salem for their youth, but we hope that, again, it also adds to kind of that idea of the economics of Salem and that families take advantage of enjoying downtown Salem after the race as well.
Thank you. Councilor Terrio.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you, as the father of the son in question, who won the race the last 2 years but has aged out. So he'll be 15 when the kids' race is over. I do believe he is planning to volunteer when you do that this time around. So
we will find him.
Yeah, exactly. He can't take the trophy anymore, but he can help out. So I think
We would love that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Madam President, one quick thing. Before the race, when people are gathering before the race starts, could you make sure that they're in the common and not blocking the road for 15, 20
Absolutely.
minutes?
Yes, and we will have some extra volunteers on hand to kind of help mitigate that situation. Not a problem.
Thank you.
Thank you. On Councilor Famico's motion that this be granted with conditions, all those in favor? Opposed?
Thank you very much, everybody.
Page 4. Waving out the window. Page 4.
Councilor
Madam President, if
Famico.
you could resume and go back to page 4 and then just continue the meeting on as regularly scheduled.
Okay, let's go back to page 4.
Page 4.
Which is appointments and reappointments.
Held from the last meeting, the mayor's appointment of Kerry Murphy to serve on the Board of Health with a term to expire March 23rd, 2020.
Councilor Famico.
Held under the rules.
Councilor Famico moves that this be held under the rules. All those in favor? Opposed? The matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
The mayor's appointment of Giulia Bellafato to serve as a member of the Beautification Committee with a term to expire April 13th, 2020.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that this be held under the rules.
Councilor Gerard moves that this be held under the rules. All those in favor? Opposed? The matter carries. Further appointments and reappointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of Rebecca Christie to serve as a member of the Commission on Disabilities with a term to expire April 13th, 2020.
Councilor Ripley.
Thank you, Madam President. I move that this be held under the rules.
Councilor Ripley moves that this appointment be held under the rules. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further appointments.
We have the mayor's appointment of David Garino to serve as a member of the Salem Redevelopment Authority with the term to expire April 13th, 2022.
Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Madam President. I move this be held under the rules.
Councilor Famico moves that this be held under the rules. All those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. We have a late file.
Received after the deadline of Tuesday noon, the mayor's appointment of Dean Rubin, 17 Central Street, Apartment 1, to serve as a member of the Salem Redevelopment Authority with a term to expire April 13th, 2022.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Madam President. Held under the rules until the next meeting?
Move for suspension to bring it in. Suspension of the rules? The late file?
Suspension of the rules to bring the matter before the council.
Yeah.
Move for
Yeah.
suspension.
Okay. Any objection? No? Okay. Counselor Ryan?
We have to move to, I have to move it to committee, so, right?
Okay. To Ola?
No, it's hold on the rules.
What? Yeah, so then we held under the rule for the next meeting. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, there were different ways to do it, so I think we're just going to move it to committee, and then you're going to move it out before the
We can
next.
hold it under the rules for the next meeting and then just bring it right up.
Okay, on Counselor Ryan's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Communications from the mayor.
We have an appropriation of $9,700 from fund balance free cash account to the following city council accounts listed below: city council contracted services and city council advertising.
Counselor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for suspension of the rules.
Seeing no objection, Counselor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. I also move for adoption.
Under discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. This is largely a routine matter. This is due to a lot of the advertising that the city clerk has had to do on our behalf for our meetings, and she needs some more money to keep advertising for us.
On Counselor Gerard's motion for adoption, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Mayor's informational page, none. Counselor Fury? We've got motions, orders, and resolutions.
Yes, please. Counselor?
Thank you, Counselor. Okay, this is a home rule petition relative to health insurance for part-time elected officials. And does anybody want me to waive the reading?
So moved.
Yeah, waive the reading.
Okay, all right. Under discussion?
On discussion? Counselor?
Okay, so this is basically a home rule petition to address the issue of part-time elected officials getting health insurance as a benefit from the city. There's a grandfather clause in here, so whoever has health insurance will have health insurance through the end of their term. This will reduce future costs to the city in terms of being able to project budgeting, because if we no longer have that benefit for insurance, there's no longer a potential for 11 people to have health insurance at the cost of anywhere between, could be $5,000, could be upwards of $20,000 to the city for each individual, depending on the type of insurance that you have. And I would move for adoption tonight. I don't know if anybody has any questions, discussion?
On discussion by any member of the city council? Councilor Churiel, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would request that this be referred to committee because it is a fairly significant, it's a fairly significant change. It's a fairly significant change, particularly going forward, to a practice that we have had for a long time of treating the members in particular of the city council as employees of the city. I know that's something, you know, in my case, I'll say flat out, that's something, I realize that I would not be affected by this as somebody who's currently doing it, but I basically take my entire paycheck from the city and put it into health insurance. And I do purchase that from the city. So, yeah, and I recognize that that's a cost, and I don't know what other members of the city council might do that. I know it's sometimes we've had quite a few, sometimes we've had very few, and that has varied over the years. But also, this as a benefit is something I'm a little leery about removing, simply because it's something that people have the ability to, the option to use it or not. And I would not, in my case, should it be removed? I have other ways of getting health insurance. I could take my entire paycheck and dedicate it to that if I wanted to, and continue on. So there's options for people, but I do worry a little bit that it's setting a little bit of a bar to people who might come after us in this, and maybe for somebody who would want to serve in public office at some point in the future, it might be that this is something that would provide a barrier to them doing it. Maybe the time is maybe we have somebody who is otherwise a retiree and would like to come work as a city councilor and take that job, and they don't need a lot of money, but they need the health insurance. So I don't know that this is a good idea or a bad one. I'm not opposed to it, but I would like to see it be discussed in committee and fleshed out some. So I prefer to send this to, I'm fine with whichever committee we want to put it to. It's targeted here for ordinance, licensed legal affairs. I'm not on it. We may want to put it to finance just because there are financial implications. It might be something we go into. Either which way, I think it should be discussed further in committee before we move forward.
Councilor Lyon, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. Yeah, I was just going to say, if you're going to refer, you should refer to the administration of finance, because I think it's a financial issue, because a councilor that takes the health insurance costs the city more money than a councilor that does not. It's a benefit whether we keep it or not. I don't care either way. I mean, if it's an option to have, it's fine, but if it's going to be discussed, I think it should be administration of finance, go forward to a committee of the whole.
Councilor Gerard, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I also agree with that I can bring this into A&F and co-post it with the Committee of the Whole as well. I am very concerned about taking this benefit away, as we know that the financial climate's change, and we are in a situation now where a lot of traditional employers aren't offering health insurance anymore, and this is really a benefit to people who give a lot more than what just this is supposed to be a part-time job, and this ends up being a lot more than that. And I think that this is a benefit that should remain with us, but I'm more than happy to take it up with A&F and co-post it.
Any further discussion, please? Having no further discussion, Councilor Milo, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have no objection to it going to A&F, so I would make the motion that co-posted, that this go to A&F co-posted with the Committee of the Whole. I would ask that because this is a home rule petition, that we hear this sooner rather than later to have the discussion, because I don't know if it's going to take one meeting, 2 meetings, whatever, to flesh it out, but I'd ask that we do that sooner rather than later. Thank you.
On the motion, on the request before us is the Senate to Administration and Finance Subcommittee, co-posted as a Committee of the Whole. All those in favor? All those opposed? Thank you very much.
Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Turrio.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem, I'll read the beginning and then hopefully we'll waive the further reading, but City of Salem, year 2017, ordinance to amend ordinance relative to City Council compensation members, additional compensation for the President. Thank you. I would move that this, I will move for adoption for first passage, but if people would prefer to put this in committee, I would be absolutely amenable to that as well. Just briefly, thank you. Briefly, I wanted to address the percentage. I know some members vary in their opinion on this. I do personally favor the linkage of city council pay to the mayoral pay, because frankly it makes us take a much harder look at what we're paying the mayor than when we know it also reflects on what we're earning. And I think overall that extra bit of accountability on our part is good, and it helps prevent us from making decisions that might escalate the mayor's pay, because the blowback for that also reflects on us when there is blowback, and I think that accountability is valuable. But I do think that at the level of pay that we've established for the mayor, and I think it's justified, and I will vote for second and final passage on that, I think the percentage as that relates to us is a little more than it probably should be going forward. So in brief, my suggestion here is to, beginning with the second step of the mayor's pay increase as of the 1st of 2019, change our pay from 10% to 9%, and therefore at that point our compensation, based on the way that calculates, our compensation would remain static at where it is, and going forward from that point. So for at least the next several cycles, our pay would remain pegged at where it is after the beginning of this coming year. So I think it's a good thing. I'd like to, this is probably something we should discuss if we refer it. I think we should maybe refer this, if it's going to be referred to Administration Finance, and we can talk about this and the healthcare benefit at the same time. But I'll go with, my initial motion is for first passage. It's pretty straightforward, but the will of the body prevail.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Sargent?
I say, Madam President, we put it in committee maybe we discussed if you don't take the benefits, you get the 10%. If you do take the benefits, you get the 9%. We can link those two together, maybe. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Giroux.
Thank you, Madam President. If this is going to go to committee, this should probably go to A&F,
Right.
and it'll go.
It's an
Okay,
ordinance.
good. Just wanted to make sure.
It's an
Co-posted.
ordinance, so-
All that.
Yeah, my motion, at least right now, is for adoption for first passage, but if somebody would like to make the counter motion to put it into A&F, I won't object to that.
Okay. Councilor Sargent, do you want to make that motion?
The word ordinance in it, so I make the obvious motion that it go to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs.
So that's your motion to go to ordinances, licenses, and legal affairs?
Second.
Seconded by Councilor Lovely. Okay, on Councilor under discussion, Councilor...
Can we co-post it?
Co-post it.
Sure. Co-post it? Sure. Well,
Of course.
co-post it? Was that it? You didn't? Okay, all right. So on Councilor Sargent's motion to refer this matter to ordinances, licenses, and legal affairs, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Lovely.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, Madam President, rather. City of Salem, in the year 2017, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to traffic, be ordained by the City Council, City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Chapter 42, Section 51, parking prohibited on certain streets, Jefferson Avenue, easterly side and southerly direction at number 59 Jefferson Avenue for a distance of 100 feet. Section 2, this ordinance shall take effect as provided by the city charter.
Move for adoption?
Adopt for first passage.
Okay. Councilor Lovely moves for adoption for first passage. Under discussion? No discussion?
No discussion.
Okay. On Councilor Lovely's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Sargent.
Thank you, Madam President. City of Salem and City Council, April 13, 2017, ordered that National Grid and any contractor they hire shall provide the City Council with a copy of the rules and regulations they use for trimming and/or cutting down trees on public property and also on private property. National Grid and any contractor they hire shall provide the City Council with the reason a tree has to be trimmed or cut down on public and on private property, and the distance from a power line that a tree has to be trimmed or cut down on both public and private property. National Grid and any contractor they hire shall also provide the City Council with the following: the procedure they use for notifying a property owner when they want to trim or cut down a tree on private property, and the paperwork a property owner signs to grant them permission to trim or cut down a tree located on private property. On discussion.
Do you move for adoption?
Well, I move for adoption, and I'd also like to put it into government services, so when we get the information back, we can see what to do with it. So I'd like to move for adoption and then put it in government services, please.
So you want to adopt it and put it into government services? Okay. Madam Clerk?
You don't usually adopt something and put it in.
I rescind. I'll move adoption. Later on, when I get the information, I'll put that in government services. So I move adoption, please.
Okay. Under discussion?
Yes, under discussion. It's just had some tree trimming in my neighborhood and on my property where there's no basic rules. I asked the tree cutting company and National Grid what are the rules you use for doing it, and they said 10 feet, but I don't know where those rules come from. And I want to see what the city rules are, state rules, different laws versus their policy. And the thing that really struck me is when they cut a tree on private property, the policy is to put a notice on your door, not even something in the mail. And if you don't reply within so many hours, I think it's 48 hours, then they take that as permission. I don't know where in the world, when you don't get a yes, it means yes. You know, they shouldn't be cutting trees on private property until they get permission from the owner. So I just want to get a clear indication of what their rules are and policies so I can compare them to city and state laws and just move forward from there. So it's a beginning to see where this will take us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councilor Fumiko, Councilor Giroux.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd move we put this into committee first, just because with number 2, it says what they sign, and if we're figuring out if they sign something or if they don't, to grant them permission, so we figure that out, and also the procedure, because if we're asking for these things, just to make sure if they do or not, or maybe amend it for adoption if we could say, shall provide with the following, if required, or something along those lines.
Really?
Yes, really, because when it's saying here with this part, and then the procedure for notifying, maybe right now, I know my parents the other day got something like this, but is that something Grid does on their own? I'd be interested. I don't know if the Lorax committee has any information on this already. I think it would be nice to have, but I don't know if they currently have it or not.
So, did you make a motion?
I'd move that we move it to government services.
Okay.
Co-posted.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Okay. Under discussion? Counselor Gerard, Counselor Lovely.
Thank you. We have an assistant DPW director who's an arborist, and I feel like he should have some input on this before we start requesting things that really he will probably have a better understanding of, since he's the tree expert in the city. So I would definitely support this going to government services, being co-posted, so that we can talk with him and also with the any members of the Lorax committee that maybe have some expertise in this.
Any further? Oh, Counselor Lovely.
Thank you, Madam President. I think it's pretty innocuous. He's just asking that they provide us with the rules and regulations in their policy. Certainly, we can involve the Department of Public Works in this for maybe setting regulations the City of Salem might have, but I think having the council requesting the information is how and why they go about this, and cite whatever regulations that allow them to do what they're doing. I know there's been quite a few complaints in other communities, the first time I've heard of a complaint in Salem, but he's just asking for information. I think having the strength of a council order doesn't have them do anything, just provide information. And I'm sure the DPW director and the department would be happy to help out, but they've got their hands full as it is. He's just asking for information. I really don't see the harm in it.
Any further discussion? Counselor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. I'd have to agree with the good Ward 3 counselor. This is really straightforward. It's just requesting what their policies are. I'm frankly surprised that we don't already have them and know what the rules are that they're following. Perhaps they're following the pruning guidelines of mass arborists, but it'd be nice to hear what they're saying. This is just asking for information, and as, not speaking on behalf of Lorax, but as a member of the Lorax committee, I think this is a good thing. Let's find out what the rules are, but I'd like to see the information that come back be distributed to the Lorax committee and to the Public Services Department as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Gerard, Counselor Terrio.
Thank you, Madam President. That's exactly why this should go to committee, to discuss what the rules are around this. And as I said, the assistant DPW director may already have this information.
Counselor Terrio.
Thank you, Madam President. I have one, I'm going to sound like I'm echoing something from earlier discussion here, but I have one qualm with this that makes me want to see it in committee. If we remove that, I would have no problem with it going forward, because it is mostly pretty innocuous. The one thing that concerns me a little bit in this is the sentence, National Grid and any contractor they hire shall provide the city council with the reason a tree has to be trimmed or cut down. That sounds to me, the way it's phrased within the order, it sounds like every tree they come to, they have to tell the city council why. That's my one qualm with this order as it is currently phrased, and so that's my reason for preferring that it go to committee at this point. But because I frankly don't want the city council to be notified of every tree that is going to be cut down, and the implication seemed pretty strong here that that's what it would be. I have no problem whatsoever with the city council learning what the procedures are and what their policies are for tree removal and trimming, and seeing what paperwork they use, and if we need to take any more action or find out what our authority is under that, because they're a regulated utility and they do have state guidelines that supersede anything we put on them at some point. I would like to see what all that stuff is. I suspect it could be done within the committee context, but if the at-large counselor removed that sentence, I would support moving forward with it as is. So.
Okay. Any further discussion?
Yes, Madam Chair, With all due respect, I'm not asking for any permission for every tree. I'm asking for the rules they use in cutting down trees. Just like if I asked for the rules for vehicle inspections in Massachusetts, I'm not asking for a notice for every vehicle that gets inspected. It's just their basic book on rules and how they do it. And if they send it back to us, I can put it in committee and we can work with it. I know we have an arborist, I'm just, as a city council, asking them for a copy of their rules. And the private contractors they hire, in this case it's Lucas Tree, works for them. So it follows their policy. They're the ones that are having the trees trimmed because they're so close to the wires. And I just want to know the basic rules. They trim 5 feet, 10 feet. They've come on people's property and cut a tree down to the ground. By leaving a notice on the door and not having the people get back to them, you could be on vacation for a week. You could have an elderly couple away for the winter, and they come home and find trees trimmed on their property because they didn't answer a notice. So that's why I'm just asking for rules. I'm not asking for every time they cut a tree or a branch to contact us. So it's pretty basic.
Councilor Terrio, Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Madam President. No, I understand that. It's just, my issue, and again, that this is the not an attorney thing, but looking at the wording, it appears that the directive is for them to, I understand the at-large councilor's intent. The wording here appears to say that you have to tell us, it appears to say that you have to tell us why you're cutting down trees, as opposed to just telling us what their criteria is for cutting down or trimming trees. So we might, I would suggest we either strike that or rephrase it to not be so, not give that impression at least.
Councilor Ryan.
Thank you, Madam President. I was just going to suggest the same thing. Just strike out that last sentence in the first paragraph. When you get, then you'll get the information, and then you can bring it to committee and you can put it back in there again, because that does make sense what he's saying, that you're asking him at this time to give him the reason. Just that last National Grid or any contractor they hire shall provide city council with the reason of trees. Just take that whole sentence out and then send it.
If you please, and
Councilor Sargent.
I would strike that sentence if that's causing confusion. I'd be glad to.
All right, now, I believe we're discussing Councilor Famico's motion to move this to government
I'll
service.
withdraw that, and then to go on to that, just amend that to say the criteria they use when determining. So then we're saying the criteria, then we're not even striking that, it's fixing it from the start. It's great.
Should I
Councilor Sargent?
Should I put criteria in place of rules somewhere? Yeah.
So with the criteria they use to be determining a tree be cut down.
Okay.
And
It's coming out.
Can you reduce that to writing for the clerk,
right, but it
please?
currently says the reason a tree has to be trimmed, and we're changing it to the criteria they use when determining.
Okay.
So then, otherwise, we might get every single tree, like, oh, this tree, a tree, versus the criteria.
Okay.
Councilor Sargent?
I'm perfectly okay. If that would help the council get through this, and I can just find out how they cut down trees in general, then anything you can do to help me get through this, any commas, semicolons, periods.
Or you could just call them.
Underline. I can, but
All right.
I could call them, but I just want to get something official from the city council so they give them something in writing. I understand the humor, but I'm trying to get something official from them. I know it's difficult, but I think we can make it work.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Madam President, let's just make sure when we get that, it's when we have property owner, that we make sure that they know that we also want the property, but if you're coming to our city too, that we know that as well. Just so that, I don't know if it's different for city.
That's there. with
No, it's
public
there,
and
but on
private
the
property.
second part here, it says the property owner. I just want to make sure that we know property owner also means public property.
Okay. On Councilor Sargent's order as amended and his motion for adoption, all those in favor? Opposed?
Opposed.
The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Famico.
Thank you, Madam President. The City of Salem and the City Council, April 13th, 2017. Order that the Committee on Community and Economic Development meet to review sections 4.5-4.3 reserved article signs and billboards. And I'd actually ask to amend that to go to Public Health, Safety, and Environment.
Okay. Under discussion?
Yes, I'm asking for it to go to that, although it isn't an ordinance, to meet to review it. When we have Public Health, Safety, and Environment, we can review and then make recommendations back. And I know there's a lot of things before ordinance license and legal affairs currently. The signs and billboards, recently, the DRB SRA did change some of their rules. I want to make sure we're consistent. And also just through reviewing it, Main Streets, other places have been part of it. But I'd like to make sure that we have some more discussion with that. Currently, it says you're not supposed to have beer or liquor license, beer or logos like that. And I feel like now anyone that's going in our downtown that's taking a photo is therefore just advertising for these other companies that are showing up in the background of their photos. So I'd just like to have a little discussion, which ties into some other orders later on.
Did you say co-posted?
Co-posted.
Okay. Councilor Duran.
Thank you, Madam President. Just for clarification, so the order here says that the Committee on Community and Economic Development, but you wanted to go to P8 to public health instead?
Yes.
Okay. And actually, I would support this going to committee because, God rest his soul, Jim Treadwell, this was a big concern of his about our signage and our billboards, so I know that he would be looking down and smiling on this.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Famico's motion that this be moved to Public Health and Safety, co-posted.
As amended.
I'm sorry, what was that?
As
amended?
Yeah, well, I guess that amended is going to that.
Yeah, all those in favor? Opposed? Matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions, Councilor Famico.
Thank you. Order that the Committee on Community and our City of Salem and the City Council, April 13th, 2017. Order that the Committee on Community and Economic Development meet to review Article 4, Operation of Vehicles, Section 43, No Driving on Sidewalks, Section B, C, and D. I'd like to amend that to do Public Health, Safety, and Environment as well.
Okay, under discussion?
Yes, so this specifically, although it says driving on sidewalks, it goes into the Essex Street Mall about a couple weeks ago, and in the last few months, it was just a lot of vehicles everywhere. We have certain delivery times that just aren't abided by, and trucks everywhere, and while we're trying to promote it and getting our downtown revitalized and things on the way, it just became kind of a bit of a madhouse. I'm very thankful the traffic and parking director with our traffic enforcement and our parking enforcement have helped alleviate some of that, but I'd like us to have a discussion about the times of these deliveries, what's going on with that, especially in lieu of a lot about to go online in the upcoming months. This has been something, a lot of these, I will apologize, I have a lot of orders, have been things that I have been asking about for years and wanting to take action on, and at this point, I think it's time that we bring it forward and really dig into it ourselves.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Famico's motion that this matter be moved to Public Health and Safety, co-posted, right? Co-posted?
Yes, ma'am.
All those in favor? Opposed? Matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Famico.
City of Salem and City Council, April 13th, 2017. Order that the Committee on Public Health, Safety, and Environment meet to discuss and consider drafting and providing input for an ordinance relative to ambient noise and its monitoring and enforcement.
And do you move for adoption?
Yes, I move for adoption.
Okay. Under discussion?
Yes, with this, we currently have some noise ordinances that are in place, and there's some regulations by DEP, but at the same time, when we're thinking of so many projects going online, and we're also thinking of members of our community that might be on the autism spectrum, when sounds start to really affect them, when we have so much happening in the sounds and buildings going online, we really need to be looking at sound levels and just what's happening. I was looking at some other communities for this, and I think it's at least worth a discussion during another meeting with everything else.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councilor Famico's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions, Councilor Famico.
City of Salem and City Council, April 13th.
Waive the reading.
Oh, no.
This one, Madam President, is, I move it, get it done, we schedule this. It's about accessibility issues in the city, and I'd like a joint hearing. There's a lot of invites for this, and the main part of it is to look at our public roads and construction sites and our bars and our restaurants. It ties into the sign part from before where signs are placed. But accessibility as a whole, we have all these construction projects, and when you go places, there aren't often temporary sidewalks, and how are people getting notified? And even it goes through all ages with our families with carriages or people that utilize wheelchairs. I would just like to have a conversation about what we're doing and what we can do better for that. and I just move we adopt it.
Okay, Council Repley.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to thank the Ward 2 Councilor for addressing this and for also asking for a joint meeting with the Disabilities Commission as the new liaison to that commission. I know that they will be thrilled to have that discussion with the City Council Committee, so I thank her for that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Council Famico's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Council
City of
Famico.
Salem and City Council, April 13, 2017, ordered that the Committee on Public Health, Safety, and Environment meet to discuss and consider drafting an ordinance relative to a requirement of universal design for construction of 6 or more units.
Move for adoption?
Move for adoption.
Okay, and the discussion?
So with this, universal design is when you have new construction, if you're looking between rooms, it won't have that little lip. So if you're walking, it makes it so, things like that, that you could be in the same apartment or same living place when you're 20 or when you're 80. It's just very simple things like that, but by looking ahead, I'd like to see if we can consider doing that in Salem, because we have people that are aging, and little things like that are trip hazards, and it'd be nice to be able to address that.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Council Famico's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Famico.
City of Salem, the year 2017, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to the school committee compensation. Be it ordained by the City Council of the City of Salem as follows. If I could ask for a waiving of the reading, and then I'll go.
Sure, so moved.
Thank you. With this, I'm looking, we just had the conversation about the mayoral salary. By city ordinance, it has that every 2 years, in addition to the City Council mayoral pay, or the mayoral pay, the school committee compensation is also supposed to be visited. Currently, our school committee compensation by the ordinance was $3,000, and then it was supposed to be met on every 2 years. I personally think that $3,000 is far too little for them. When you look at the work that they're putting in, they have half the school budget. They're determining the future of Salem's kids. They go to sometimes more meetings than we're at, and the salary now, if you have children, and the amount of meetings, if you had to get a babysitter, would be climbing right up with that. So I think we really should be looking at these people as well that are serving our kids. And to tie that in, I had asked the city solicitor, I spoke with the human resource director about how this might trigger things such as health insurance, everything else. So what I'm asking for right now is, starting fiscal year 2018, that the members of the school committee, with the exception of the mayor, receive the sum of $4,500, and affecting fiscal year 2019, they receive $8,500. The reason I chose those numbers, if with the difference now, so if it's $3,000 to $4,500, that's $1,500. That's the same difference with the city council jump. If you multiply that by the 11 city councilors and divide it by our 6 school committee members, that's what they would go up to. And then yes, it's $8,500 the next time, but that's once again the jump times 11 divided by the 6 for that. I think our schools are worth it. I think our kids are worth it, and I think the people who serve and make these decisions are worth it. For this, I would move for adoption tonight. I understand some might not want to go forward with this, but I think that it's long overdue, especially when we've been looking at everything else. And part of this, it would say no longer later than so it's right here. It says, Committee on Admin and Finance, a recommendation reported to the council no later than the first meeting in May. That's because currently it says the first meeting in April, so it would have to be done right now for amending that.
Councilor Repley.
Thank you, Madam President. I believe that this should be referred to committee. I think that this is something that whether it's Administration and Finance or whether it's OLA, I'm not sure. But at any rate, I do think it needs to be referred to committee for further discussion. I also think that, and I would have a concern about raising the salary of an elected official in midterm. And I would want that, if it were to be passed, I would suggest that we instead have whatever new sum would be effective at the beginning of the new term in January of 2018.
Councilor Ryan.
Yeah. Madam President, I apologize. First I came back in after I had to leave for a second, and I have to recuse myself from this conversation. My
Oh,
system
okay.
wasn't
All righty. Counselor Ryan, Counselor Fury.
Yeah, I think this should be referred to committee because it goes, I think when we talked about this before, they should definitely get more money, but it's going to trigger the compensation of health insurance and pension. And that should be referred to finance, just to put it together. I mean, it definitely should get more money, but that needs to be looked at, all that stuff. But I don't think you can vote on it right away. And with the number, just pick a number. It's not, that should be looked at. It shouldn't be one person making that decision.
Counselor Fury, Counselor Famico.
Having the pleasure and privilege of serving on the school committee for 12 years, they deal with policies, negotiations, contracts. Now they're doing child schools, public child schools, and so on. So I think we need to recognize and respect the role and responsibility of the school committee people. They handle half the budget. And we need the best and brightest to run for office. We have 2 vacancies, as we know. School committee woman Debbie Amaro is stepping aside, and Dr. Brendan Walsh is stepping aside. So it's 2 vacancies. We need to attract the best and brightest. I hope we take positive action on this in the subcommittee level, but I think it's long overdue. Thank you.
Counselor Famico.
If there's a motion for it to go to committee, I'll go with that. And this currently also has the sum as the first week in December, so it'd be great to have that fleshed out. But whereas this will have to cause an amendment, this currently says the first week in May, whatever committee it goes to, it would have to be amended again, so it would have to go to OLA if they're going to amend it again, or admin and finance would have to be heard very soon.
So are you withdrawing your original motion for adoption?
I'll move that it goes to, I'd say administration and finance, and then from there, because it is an ordinance, if they choose, then refer it back just to talk about the financials of it and co-post it.
Okay. Further discussion? No? Okay, that's what it...
Just one point of clarification.
Counselor Dibble.
Sorry. So just one point of clarification. So no later than the first meeting in May, so we have to get this resolved in the next month. That's what you're recommending here, or? Because we have a number of things that are going to be coming up. And we also have budget hearings that are going to be coming up that have to be scheduled, so.
That point, I think, due to it saying the effective date with the May part, whenever you are done with it, when it goes to OLA prior, because it is an ordinance change, we could amend it then. At that point, we have the date and a timeline. So should we say, we can actually amend it now, say, then the first meeting of June, would that be acceptable? Because July, we have our fiscal year starting in July.
Yes.
I'd also note that I spoke with our finance director about this, and also our mayor and the superintendent.
Any
Well,
further?
amend that to read June and refer it to
Counselor Dibble.
administration, finance, co-posted.
Counselor Dibble?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I also think this should go to committee, and I appreciate the good Ward 4 comments on doing so and getting the wording corrected, and not doing so until the term expires or the new term might start. But the wording of it is going to be a little tricky because the school committee has staggered positions, so the wording of it has to be double protected, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So yes, I think it should go to committee, and I agree that this needs to be discussed.
Okay, thank you.
And
One
just so
more time,
people know,
Counselor.
this is currently, that language is what's currently in the ordinance. It was just that one line in the month that was done.
Okay, on Counselor Famico's motion that this be moved to A&F, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole as amended. All those in favor? All those opposed? And it carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Counselor Famico.
City of Salem in the year 2017, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to zoning. Be it ordained the City of Salem and the City Council as follows. Section 1, Chapter 7.36, application of the city's zoning ordinance within planned unit development. Could I ask for a waiving?
So moved.
I'd also ask, the council's got earlier a colored copy of this that show in pink, the parts that are on here, and then blue, just the changes for that. So I'd ask that we amend it as read here, and the amendment for this is, it keeps what it currently is in the ordinance, but in addition to that, it's asking that it shows the plans under our Salem zoning ordinance 9.53 through 9.56. A lot of our other zoning does have that, and this makes it so that when we're doing these planned unit developments going forward, there's more details in what our boards are looking at. It's not taking anything away, it's asking for more of these details. So it's referring back to that. And for this, I move that a joint public hearing be held with the planning board as amended.
Under discussion?
Or joint public hearing. So first, I move that this be amended. I need that approved. I move that the amendments on this be adopted.
All right, so you have an amended document? Okay, all right.
So the amended document is just to add to the plan unit development all the information required for a definitive plan under Salem zoning ordinance sections 9.53 through 9.56.
And that's what's going on the planning board? Well, the joint hearing?
Correct.
Okay. On Councilor Famico's motion, all those in favor? Opposed? The matter carries. Further motions, orders, and resolutions. Councilor Famico.
City of Salem in the year 2017, an ordinance to amend an ordinance relative to zoning. Be it ordained by the City of Council in the City of Salem as follows. Section 1, Section 9.52, applicability, section...
Waive the reading.
Thank you. So this is also about the site plan reviews. I added to this, the site plan reviews, what it shall be referred for. So currently it does read 6 or more residential dwellings. I changed that to 1 and added the Salem Redevelopment Authority, some project reviews and planned unit developments to those things as well. So when this goes to a joint hearing with the planning board, they can either choose to say yes to some of these things or not. I added 1 because at this point in Salem, how many single-family homes are we adding and where are they going? And a lot of times we're looking at variances, and when you do that and the size of toters and everything else, it'd be nice to have this really nailed out. Further on for this, under what the site plan shall include, they're just adding more to the site plan. A lot of the planning board meetings you go to, people are asking where are the HVAC units. They come back and forth. This is requiring it from the beginning, and there are other parts of it. It's asking temperatures of lighting, not just the type, grade changes, materials of walks, because right now we'll show where walkways are. We have discussions, but just have that a little more nailed down. Also, the part that really triggered this for me, adding these things, is in the plans that have been going forward, there's no mention of recycling. Last year, I had contacted, and I was told it would be added from now on to the regulations of the planning board. Looking at other plans since then, and I asked for the updated ones, it wasn't. So a big part of this is just, let's be able to show on our plans more information. It adds, let's see the trees 25 feet around. We have to take into consideration roots. And just also with that we're having in the future decisions, say we have maybe input from our traffic and parking commission when it comes to those parts of it all. But this is just, once again, to hold a joint public hearing, to see their input. I know through some of these members that when they're in these meetings, they're asking, where's this, where's that anyway? But this is putting it as part of this. So for that, I move that we refer this to the planning board to schedule a joint public hearing with the city council.
Any further discussion? Councilor Ripley.
Thank you, Madam President. I just want to point out to the body and to the folks at home just how much we will eventually miss the Ward 2 councilor and her diligence in doing what she's just done this evening in terms of providing all of this homework for all of us to work on over the course of the next few months. But a lot of very thoughtful time went into this, and I look forward to working on all these issues, and I hope that most of these can pass in some way, form, or another, and your legacy is amazing.
Any further discussion? Councilor Famico.
Madam President, once again, there's a couple amendments on here. For this part, they're in blue within it, and I'd like to pass it as amended. The addition is, the original it said HVAC, so this says HVAC-related mechanicals, so we have all those parts of it. It also goes into vegetated slopes, backflow preventers, a little of everything that's going on there, and so I'd like to put this forward as amended. And I have a copy for the clerk as well.
All right, on Councilor Famico's motion that this be moved to joint public hearing with the planning board as amended, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Committee reports. Councilor Ryan.
City Council, April 13, 2017, Committee on Ordinance and Legal Affairs referred the matter of granting certain licenses and consented said matter and would recommend approval. Seaworms, and Tag Day for Joe Mendonca and Salem High School softball.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion. Okay. On Counselor Ryan's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further committee reports, Counselor Ryan.
Committee on Ordinance Licensed Legal Affairs, to whom is referred the matter of bus parking in Holyoke Square, has considered said matter and would recommend that the matter remain in committee.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
There's already a study going on, so we just decided to keep it in committee for now.
Okay. Any further discussion on Counselor Ryan's motion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further committee reports, Counselor Ryan.
Committee on Ordinance Licensed Legal Affairs, proposed to the committee of the whole, whom is referred the matter of amending an ordinance relative to the Board of Health certificate of fitness of rented dwelling units, apartments, and tenements, has considered said matter and would recommend that the matter be referred to the Committee on Public Health, Safety, and Environment, co-posted with the committee of the whole.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Under discussion, it came to OLA. We had a couple conflicts of interest in there, so we thought it was better off to send it out and put it into another committee.
Okay, on the recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further committee reports.
City Council, April 13th, 2017, the Committee on Ordinance Licensed Legal Affairs, proposed to the Committee of the Whole, whom is referred the matter of Community Benefits Agreement with North Shore Medical Center, has considered said matter and would recommend remaining in committee.
Okay, on acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
We actually had a meeting last Thursday on this issue, and we had 10 minutes today, so we didn't discuss it today. It's in stay in committee.
Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed?
Discussion?
Sorry, sure. Counselor Ripley.
I think you had your hand up first.
Oh, Counselor Dibble, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to point out that on our last meeting, I pointed out that my wife has been an employee for some 30 years in Salem Hospital. I had the personal opinion that there was no conflict of interest in me speaking on and voting on matters before the hospital. I did some further research with the city solicitor that deemed to be true, and I filed the appropriate papers with the city clerk, so I will be able to speak on matters and before Salem Hospital, unless if it directly affects my wife, and I will always do what's in the best interest of the city of Salem.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Ripley.
Thank you, Madam President. I was not able to attend the last meeting, but it's my understanding that there continues to be some concerns from the Ward 3 councilor in regard to some issues regarding the community benefit agreement. And I just want to go back to the caveat that this has been in committee for approximately 2 months now. And this concerns one of our biggest employers, if not the biggest employer in the city of Salem, at least in terms of private employers at the current point. There is no requirement that the North Shore Medical Center provide any benefit in terms of taxes or pilots or silots. There's no requirement whatsoever that a nonprofit provides that to the city. And right now we're staring at millions of dollars that is available in terms of available to delineated items for the benefit of the entirety of the city of Salem. And I would hate to see that lost. And I would really ask that the Committee on Ordinances, Licenses, and Legal Affairs present this at the next council meeting so that all of us can debate the issue, that we can vote up or down on that, and that we just not hold things up in committee. Because that's not the way that I've been involved in this, and this year has been problematic. And last year has been somewhat problematic as well in terms of holding things up in committee. We need to extract things for committee if necessary. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Councillor Ryan's,
Just a quick thing with that. So after that last meeting, I'm in here now as well with the information presented from the state and whether or not there could be a conflict due to it could affect your family, whether or not you sign into this, and it talked about financial interest. In the case of where we are now, in my family, it already has affected. So at that point, my father had worked at the hospital for 47 years. And due to all this, he had received one of the packages. So at this point, it hadn't. It's not going to affect it. And I don't feel as though, due to that, that I have a conflict now, so I will be voting on it when it is time to do so. Earlier tonight during the committee meeting, I did not tell the chair that prior to the meeting. I figured I'd come right back in. I was there, but it was quick, and the meeting ended prior to me returning to the council chambers for that committee meeting. Had it not ended, I would have been voting on that tonight, and I should have told the chair prior to that meeting. That was my fault for that.
Any further discussion?
Just quickly, Madam
Councilor
President, 'cause,
Sargent?
I know there's a community benefits agreement, and we appreciate it, but the hospital is also getting a break on the building permit fees. You know, the average person that does a building project on the house has to pay the permitting fees. So they're getting a good break on that. And on a $100 million project, I'm not sure what this has become because it got scaled down, that would be a decent amount of money. Almost it would get close to the equivalent to the community benefits agreement. So we're not, you know, there's kind of a little give and take there is all I'm trying to say. So, thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Ryan.
Committee on Ordinance, Legislative Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom is referred the matter of an ordinance relative to constables, has considered said matter and would recommend refer out of committee for first passage.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation and the discussion?
We had a meeting last Thursday on this issue, and we had the Assistant City Solicitor and the Chief came in, and we hashed out some of the issues. They came back again tonight for our 10-minute meeting that we had, and with the changes, and everything looks fine, so we made the recommendation to move it out for first passage.
On adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Ryan.
Committee on Ordinance, Legislative Legal Affairs, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom is referred the matter of an exemption of Massachusetts Conflict of Interest Law for the mayor to serve as a state appointee to the Salem Housing Authority, has considered said matter and would recommend remaining committee.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion? On adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed?
Opposed.
The matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Girat, sorry.
City of Salem and City Council, April 13th, 2017, the Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of compensation for the city clerk and the assistant city clerk, has considered the said matter and would recommend the assistant city clerk receive a salary of $59,700 as of July 1st. That was approved. And the city clerk receive a salary of $92,820 as of July 1st, and that was also approved.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion?
Thank you, Madam President. This was a lengthy discussion with the HR director as well as the finance director, and these were the final numbers that the committee came up with.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councilor Ripley, and then Councilor Fury.
Thank you, Madam President. I was present for, not on this committee, but I was present for most of the discussion in the regard for both the assistant city clerk and the city clerk and their salaries. My quarrel isn't with the numbers that have been proposed. My issue, and the reason why I'll be voting no this evening, has to do with the fact that there are no guidelines that have been provided regarding the transaction of marriages by both the clerk and the assistant clerk as justices of the peace while in City Hall during City Hall time. I think that that's a conflict. I think that when any employee who is on the job here, they both the clerk and the assistant city clerk work very hard, so I'm not faulting them at all, and they're certainly entitled to earn supplemental monies outside of this job. However, while they're in City Hall, during City Hall time, they should not be receiving private monies. I would also say that it should be the responsibility of the city to pay for the licensing for both the city clerk and the assistant city clerk as justices of the peace. That should be something that we as a city pay for. I'm troubled that the rest of the committee don't see that that's an important rule that needs to be put in place. The only supervisors of our clerk and our assistant city clerk are the 11 people sitting here. It's not the mayor, it's no one else. It's us. So we are responsible for making sure that our employees follow all of the appropriate rules and guidelines. We are responsible for coming up with those guidelines, and here we're falling short. I would, if I had the support, I would ask that this be referred back to the Committee on Administration and Finance for the purposes of coming up with those guidelines, if I have any support for that. Otherwise, I'll be voting no tonight.
Councilor Fury.
I strongly concur with the recommendation that came out of Administration and Finance. I think we need to recognize the role and responsibility of the city clerk. The city clerk is the epicenter, the office is the epicenter. It's the first room you come into in City Hall. And it's named after a former city clerk that I had the pleasure and privilege of serving, who passed away untimely. Great friend and great loyal friend of our present city clerk. Room number 1, we gave it to because her role in the city clerk's role is number 1. It's the epicenter coming in. The idea of the role and responsibility of marriages and licenses for marriages, that's under the Secretary of State. Horrible. Some of us had the privilege and pleasure of being a part of city government today and student government today. And the student representatives that came in and toured the city hall, second oldest city hall in the country, had the opportunity to see Cheryl and Eileen in action. That's just one moment of time to see what the city clerk does. Look at all this material that we have in front of us, just for one meeting. One meeting. The orchestra leader of that is the city clerk. We have the primary responsibility and opportunity tonight to recognize that. That's our responsibility. That's our legal responsibility to do it. We couldn't ask for better. Their loyalty, their dedication, their professionalism makes us shine. They are the wind beneath our wings. The second room, named after City Hall, is this anteroom, named after another distinguished city clerk, Josephine Bushko, who I had the opportunity to serve under when I was on the school committee. Doesn't that send a message clearly that we all need to recognize and respect? To look at the role of one little minor role of weddings is totally inappropriate. Those student representatives came in today. They looked at the city clerk's office and she gave us a tour. Wow, that's just one day. Somewhere along the line, I think very soon, the state Secretary of State would be saying, we're going to have early voting in every election. It was great for the last election. Wow, what a turnout. We had people going out, down the road, throughout the city of Salem, having the opportunity to vote early on a very crucial election, as we all found out. Crucial. That was done by the city clerk's office. The facilities in order to have voting in the city are extremely precise by the Secretary of State, measuring ramps and handicap ramps for all people that have the privilege and the pleasure of voting. So what we do tonight is just a small drop in the bucket that we can do. One meeting. Look at our budget coming up, our budget retreat meeting. So I think we need to send a message. I wish it was more, sincerely. I think it should be more compared to other cities and towns. And I think we need to act on it, not look at one little minor role of weddings. My mother and father were married in a city hall. And a joyous opportunity. That's the Secretary of State giving the opportunity for our city clerk. That should not be only a minor ripple of concern for any of us. Wonderful job. It's a happy time. Indeed, I think it should be a happy time for all of us to celebrate a wedding. It makes us shine, a wedding. So I think we have the opportunity tonight. I wish it was more. I'll be a glad supporter of this. Thank you very much.
Councilor Terrio, then Councilor Fumiko.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be very, very brief because it's getting late. Thank
you.
I do support this. I do have questions, and I think that the system of compensation, of additional compensation, is something that we probably, as the City Council, should take a further look at and how that works. I know it's not an enormous amount of money we're talking about it, but it is something where, since it's within our bailiwick, we probably should talk about this and take more of a look at it. But that said, you know, we have the basic fundamental issue of how much are these people being compensated in their salary for the job that they are that we require them to do for the city. And I do think that in both these cases that, that the work that they are doing is more than the pay that we have been granting them. And this is pretty much the only department outside of the other elected officials that the city council has some direct say in the compensation for, where we have the opportunity to make that statement. We can't recommend raises in other departments. There's lots of people in the city who work hard and are worthy of it. There's lots of people in the city who don't, I'm sure, who don't earn every penny that they're getting. But that said, we have two people in particular here who we do have that responsibility for, and I do think it's justified. So I do support it.
Councilor Famico, Councilor Lovely.
Thank you, Madam President. I would second Councilor Epley's motion for this. The City Council, we can set responsibilities for this, and when we're looking at salary, we're basing it on responsibilities, performance, and if we'd like to look at this anyway, I'd like to vote for this, but I think going into it, I'd like to have a discussion of what's happening, when, how, and to include that with when you're looking at a salary, to look at responsibilities and broaden it, and talk to the clerk as well, because maybe there are things she's responsible for now we might want to take away from her and help her out in some ways, and other things add or whatnot, but I'd like to be able to review that, so I'd second the motion.
Councilor Lovely, Councilor Sargent? Did you? Councilor Lovely, hang on.
I didn't think there was a second, just I wanted to move the question, so I'll be opposed to sending it back to committee, and then I'd be hoping to move the question.
Councilor Sargent?
Thank you, Madam President. I think it's a difficult argument when we talk about justice of the peace. We have two people who don't have a time clock. They get here early, they work through lunch, work through break, they stay late almost every day. So if there is a justice of the peace wedding performed, which is a service to the public would be upset if we didn't have this service. So they go above and beyond to get the license to be able to do this, and they've helped a lot of people with it. But if we take the hours they spend doing that on city time, and then subtract the hours they spend working through lunch break, when we alone just call them on their cell phone, when they're home, when they're on vacation, all the different times they do things when they're technically on their own time, then it's a wash at best. And we may owe them money for working through their breaks and working through their lunch. They're not asking for that. They're perfectly willing to do that, adjust their schedules, do whatever it takes, election time, above and beyond what's needed, as Councilor Fury mentioned, the early voting. That was a task that they wrote the book on for other cities and towns to follow. So the services they provide far outweigh any benefit they gain by doing those justice of the peace services. So I think we should just move on.
Councilor Epley.
Thank you, Madam President. On August 6, 2004, my husband and I went to the Cambridge City Hall, and a justice of the peace there, who's an assistant city clerk, I think her last name is Drury, because I think that's on my marriage license, married my husband and me. We eloped. We got married at Cambridge City Hall. There wasn't any private money that was exchanged between me as a private citizen and my husband as a private citizen with that city clerk in City Hall. If Cambridge can do it, I think we can too. And I think that there should be a fair amount of pay for both our city clerk and for our assistant city clerk. But when someone is a city employee, we wouldn't accept that for any other city employee. We wouldn't. Working here, accepting private money on City Hall property for any other side job. I do think it is a great service. It should be a service, but again, it's something that we as a city should be paying for. And I do move that this matter be placed into the Committee on Administration and Finance, co-posted with the Committee of the Whole.
Was there a second to this?
Second.
And is there any more discussion on that? Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. No one in this room is going to fault any of the work that the clerk and the assistant clerk do. I would never do that. They do a tremendous amount of work. They have for me for the last 10 years, and obviously I'll be supporting their compensation. But as I brought up in committee, I think the one thing that this body, and I don't even know how we affect that, is the clerk's office is a unique office in itself. The fact that we appoint the city clerk and the city clerk appoints the assistant. But there is one other non-union employee in the city clerk's office that I believe that if we're going to have a fair conversation about compensation, that we need to look at the one person left in that office, because all the other people that work for the office are union employees and that are protected by the collective bargaining agreements and whatnot. So I think that what we're doing tonight is great. But I further think that at some point down the road, we ought to be taking a hard look at the one other person that is not being represented in this, because that person, I mean, I know that the city clerk, advocates for that position's compensation at every budget, but at the same time, I think it's a unique question, because it is the one other person in that office that isn't part of the AFSCME union. So I think it's a unique question. I'm not sure how or if we can affect that, because it's not, as we've all learned over the last couple months, that in my 9 previous years, I don't think I always came up in budget time, but I don't think any of us really realized that in 1990, whatever it was, that the city council set the salary for the city clerk, and that we're supposed to make that recommendation every year. It was one of those things that just came up but it's in there, and I believe this is fair. But at the same time, I think that we need to take a look, because I'm not really sure how that transpired. But there is, I think that there is one other position in the city clerk's office that deserves a fair look as well.
Thank you. Okay, on Councillor Epley's motion, seconded by Councillor Famico, that this be referred back to committee. All those in... Councillor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. We've heard a lot of discussion on this, and I'm looking at this as being separate issues. I also, Councilor at Large, I was friends with Josephine Fusco, and I worked with her, and I was friends with Deb Birkenshire, and I worked with her. I've also had the privilege of working with these two fine ladies 30 years ago and 31 years ago, for many years, and I've seen them in action. Our city clerk, I've seen her get loaded up on a Saturday night at about 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night in a snowstorm that was delivering about 12 or 14 inches of snow, and she gladly came to City Hall to make a copy of a birth certificate so somebody could travel abroad. That person wasn't even from Salem, but they needed the birth certificate here. They go above and beyond the number of hours. So I'm looking at this as a totally different issue. Whereas we addressed the city clerk's pay separately from earlier today from the assistant clerk. I also look at the third person that the good Ward 1 councillor brought forward. I'm not sure what that position is. It's the first I've heard of it was tonight. So we should look at that one as well and adjust it if needed, but they're separate issues. As the Ward 4 councillor mentioned, the wedding ceremony fees, that's a whole separate issue. I say we move this thing forward and properly pay these fine, outstanding employees, because when we look at the other pays from their peers from other communities, they've been underpaid. And I think that we put a lot of work into this over the last couple of weeks. I'd rather not see it going into committee, but take up the issue as a separate issue, and this issue as another separate issue, and we address them, but we move forward with proper pay for these two fine employees. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Fury.
I'm strongly opposed to sending it to committee. The buck stops here. We need to send the message clearly. It's our responsibility. It's in the ordinance. To delay and defer and say weddings. We can do that. We can do weddings. Talk about it later on. But tonight, it's the overall salary of the city clerk. She is the Keith Lockhart. I can consider her highly. Look at this. We wouldn't be able to do it. One move. She's got it written down, accept the report, adopt it, right down to fine-tooth comb. 365 days. Not to sit, I think it's doing an injustice to all of us. We're sending the wrong message. Again, to subcommittee, we've been there. The buck stops with us. We can address other issues on weddings and other things, which I kind of disagree. We need happy times in the city council, particularly in this meeting. Do we need happy times? What better time than a wedding? Sincerely, the message is clear. Act tonight. Don't talk about what happened to a former city official. She was addressed, Councilor McCarthy. That was addressed years ago. She did get compensation in a transaction. She wasn't alone. She's not. She's been. I looked into that situation. That has been addressed. We're addressing only two people tonight, the assistant city clerk and the city clerk. Let's send a message. Let's not delay it further. Either you do it or not. I say yes, full committee vote tonight.
Madam President.
Councilor McCarthy.
First of all, I do have the utmost respect for the at-large council, but would you please direct the at-large councilor to direct the chair when he's making his comments, as I am currently?
Yes, sir.
Because as we all know, from anybody who's been in the body for a long period of time, when we as councilors stand up, we are to direct our comments through the president, not to individuals, not to individuals. And with all due respect, I am supporting this tonight. I have no idea what the at-large council is talking about. All I said is that we as a body should also look into the other issue as well. That's all I said. So for him to start calling me out and directing his comments directly to me, I find that totally inappropriate. He needs to remember the rules and address the chair. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Okay, with that.
I apologize for any disrespect, but I think we should address the issue before us.
So, Councilor, okay. On Councilor Ryan?
Can we move the question?
Thank you. On Councilor Epley's motion that this be referred to committee, all those in favor?
Roll call, please.
Okay, Madam City.
Wait, what?
Are there
Roll
three
call,
hands?
send it to committee.
No. This is just
that's
for
fine.
clarification. This is voting on the salaries, or this is just
Voting on sending the salaries.
This is voting on sending,
voting on-
Councilor Epley made a motion, seconded by Councilor Famico, to send this back to committee. That's the vote. That's what we're voting on now. Councilor Fury has requested a roll call vote. Do I see three hands? Okay, Madam City Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilor Terrell?
No.
Councilor Sargent?
No.
Councilor Ryan?
No.
Councilor McCarthy?
No.
Councilor Lovely?
No.
Councilor Gerard?
No.
Councilor Fury?
No.
Councilor Famico?
Yes.
Councilor Epley?
Yes.
Councilor Dibble?
No.
Councilor Milo?
No. Thank you. On the matter of sending this matter back to committee, we have 11 councilors voting, 2 in the affirmative, 9 in the negative. The matter does not carry. Now we're going to go back to the original adoption of the recommendation by Councilor Gerard. Councilor Lovely.
Move the question.
Okay. On the matter of adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor?
Roll call vote, please.
No. Why? Councilor, it's my point of personal privilege. It's just we're just moving to get to that vote. You could have a roll call vote thereafter. It's okay. I don't think we need.
Well, I believe we've already accepted the report, so now we're going to adopt the recommendation.
Right.
We have to vote on my moving the question.
Okay, on Councilor Lovely's motion to move the question, all those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, now the question on adoption of the recommendation.
Roll call vote, please, Madam
Three
President.
hands, please. Okay, Madam City Clerk?
Councilor Terrell?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
Yes.
Councilor Ryan?
Yes.
Councilor McCarthy?
Yes.
Councilor Lovely?
Yes.
Councilor Gerard?
Yes.
Councilor Fury?
Yes.
Councilor Famico?
No.
Councilor Epley?
No.
Councilor Dibble?
Absolutely, yes.
Councilor Milo?
Yes. On the matter of adopting the committee report's recommendation, we have 11 councilors voting, 9 in the affirmative, 2 in the negative. The matter carries.
And the motion to consider in the hopes it does not prevail.
Councilor Fury moves that this be reconsidered in the hopes that it won't prevail. All those in favor? All those opposed?
Opposed.
The matter doesn't carry. All right, now we have further committee reports. Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. In City Council, April 13, 2017, The Committee on Community and Economic Development co-posted with the Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of the Housing Development Incentive Program, has considered said matter and would recommend approval of the Housing Development Incentive Program to be amended, and to amend the zones to include the Tabernacle Church.
On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? All those opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion?
Not a whole lot. This is, I'm very proud of the committee that I chair and the amount of research that went into this, in particular from the good Ward 2 counselor and the comments that were offered throughout the whole way. And it took us a while to get to this point with a lot of questions, a lot of hours spent on this. And I think at the end of the day, we have a good product.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Famico?
Thank you, Madam President. I was the lone wolf on this one last night, and I remain that way. With this zone, it's a tax incentive zone, and when we started it, it was only public properties. Part of that was, well, we don't want to add someone's private property. However, you could always contact somebody for that. When it went into this for the discussion and the way this RFP went out, it went out as is, and while this is an incentive and a funding mechanism, at this point it's a $1.7 million, what they're asking for, funding mechanism. I think we don't have to reopen the RFP, but I think that morally it would be a better idea that we did that to put an equal playing field for that. Further with this, I loved the project. I would say that first came in. I loved it for the downtown. What I'm seeing now, I'm not a fan of, and I know we're not the planning board, but the process this is going out is a planned unit development, which allows maximum coverage of a lot, maximum stories, and things of the like. Further with this process, even the last plan that was sent, it cut down in half the parking, and I know it's always about parking, but when you're looking at that and then you're adding 30 spots into the garage, it's already getting utilized a lot, and taking that into consideration, the people in the parcel right even next door hadn't been notified yet for that. So going into this, I was in full support of the project that originally came before, but I feel as though now pushing through this zone at this time without having taken into consideration other places, that now isn't really the time to do that for that it should have been included with that. I said last night I'd be perfectly happy if this one parcel was removed. But when it comes into it, it is a tool, and it is a tool that can be used to help developers and help development. But the way this development's going and where we're at now, I'm not supportive of every single section of the RFP change. We cut down on bedroom units, we went up in size, and I feel as though by supporting this at this point, although it would have to come back before us to approve this funding, they could go through the state for that, but ultimately I feel as though supporting this now is supporting and funding a project that I'm not in support of, especially in a prominent location of the downtown. Had this not been for this one parcel and we had holistically looked at it and just didn't rush through now, and it is rushing through because we've had these conversations, well, what else? Even the partnership had said, well, we didn't know why other areas weren't being discussed. So I was the lone wolf last night. I might remain the lone wolf tonight, but that was my reasoning by going against this incentive.
Councillor Terrio, Councillor Epley, Councillor Fury.
Thank you, Madam President. Through you, I just want to point out the HDIP, as we decided to call it in the meeting last night, the area, because everybody has been seeing this and thinking it was a major zoning change, and it's not. It's not a zoning change at all. The HDIP area is basically a optional state incentive for redevelopment of properties in a downtown area. Peabody made virtually their entire downtown into an HDIP zone. A lot of other communities are doing this as well. The idea is that if properties are being redeveloped, it gives you a potential tool to address some of the issues you might have on site, some of your hazard mitigation, and some of the redevelopment challenges you might get in a downtown. The tool itself is a good program. It's available to gateway cities like ours. Cities are making good use of it to help revitalize their downtowns. In our case, we already have a downtown that's doing pretty well at this point. But we have properties that, like the district court, like some of these lots, that, and at the request of the the Tabernacle Church across the street, they asked to be included in this as well, with the thought that they might be able to do some redevelopment on part of their property and have an incentive to make that work. And that could be potentially a use there for preserving the church and still being able to get some more economic value out of the property for them to help ensure their survival for the long term. So I think, as my colleague from Ward 2 pointed out, this is a tool that can be available for, and when we created our zone, we did it for in a sense, for the least amount of controversy, to do just public lots that are publicly owned lots. So we have a couple lots that are managed by the SRA, a couple lots that are managed by the city. At this point, there's nothing going on with anything but the district court side. There may be developments in the future. There may be reasons to use this in the future in other places, and there may not be. But right now, I think this tool is something that's worth having in our bag as an option for redevelopment. As it stands right now, with this specific project that is envisioned for it, I am not terribly enthusiastic about the changes they've made since winning the bid, and I will have serious concerns that I want to see addressed before such point as I would support their application through this program. But the program itself, I think, is very worthy for us to add for the city, and I do support it.
Thank you, Councilor Repley. Councilor Fury.
Thank you, Madam President. I'm going to be voting no, so the Ward 2 councilor is not a lone wolf. I'll be voting no for most of the reasons that she articulated. I don't think that the solution for having one developer asking for, it's not a zoning change, but it is an area change, where you create an entire new category and you're shoehorning that in order to accomplish it. I don't think that's appropriate for the city. That's not the right process. I also think that the process that we had with our RFP for the other two non-winning bids, that it's a completely unfair process at this point. Had they had the opportunity that they knew that they were going to have HDIP available for them at the beginning of that process, then I might be in a different position. What I will say, I'll agree with the Ward 5 councilor. I actually believe, well, maybe I'll agree with one thing that the Ward 5 councilor said. Other gateway cities have looked at using this for their entire downtown. I would be in favor of the B5 district for Salem being HDIP if that was what was proposed. That's not what's before us. Instead, we're essentially shoehorning in a project that has gone downhill in terms of the way that it has been originally presented to where we are right now. So I will be voting no.
Thank you, Councilor Fury.
I wish to commend and congratulate the chairman Councilor Dibble in last night's meeting. All the stakeholders were there. Chamber of Commerce, partnership, the mayor, planning. It was involved in that. It's been a long process. I've gone through some of the design review board meetings. I serve on the Salem Renewal Authority. A lot of people have been involved in this whole process. Most cities and towns, when you look at the word gateway city, the perception is negative. This is taking the gateway city, the city of Salem, which has been designated on the high road. You've got a marriage between the Tabernacle Church, which wants to put itself in the 21st century. You've got a development by Diamond, the old district court, which is going to be torn down, and you've got the courthouses. That's a marriage for the future, for the 21st century. I commend Councilor Dibble for conducting such a broad cross-section. It sends a clear message that we are a gateway city, and it should be given a designation on the high road. Thank you. Sorry.
On adoption of, Councilor Famiko.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Just for this, just for clarification, it doesn't have to be a downtown. It's wherever a city chooses to do this zone. Second thing, and I'm not sure how to go about this, but with this, whereas it is a zone, it goes into whatever the zoning is at the time it is put forward, so whenever this is submitted. So just thinking of all the orders I put in earlier tonight and asking for these locations of things. A lot of these are SRA, but just that we take that into consideration for that. Like SRA currently has regulations, but just whenever this is submitted that we ask the planning board, because this talks about that this includes proposed changes to zoning at the time, that we just make sure that whatever they submit for the final packet, that we're ensuring that's in there. And thank you.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. The issue before us tonight is an economic tool. It's HDIP. It is not a zoning change. It creates a economic area of which you're allowed to use this tool. And As was stated last night in the meeting, there's a lot of rules and regulations with regard to it, one of which that the project has to be 80% occupied before the person or the entity that is utilizing the tool before they receive any funds back. It's just a way of giving anybody who wants to develop a piece of property some flexibility. The reason why, which was presented last night, that we did not expand it to the whole downtown was because we were probably not aware of all the nuances of it, so we felt to be safe, we started with publicly owned properties or controlled by the SRA. Once that process became out there, the Tabernacle Church approached us. They fit right in the area that we're talking about. If it wants to expand, if there's more, landowners in and around downtown in close proximity to the train station feel like this is a viable tool that they would like added, we have the ability to add. But right now, what's in front of us tonight is whether or not we want to put the tool in front of us and put it out to the state to allow them to go through the whole process through their agencies to get it back to find out if this was going to be something that we can do. We can always add to it, we always can amend to it, but right now we're just talking about the tool.
Councilor Dibble, Councilor Lovely.
Thank you, Madam President. I have to echo the good Ward 1 comments here. Perhaps I didn't do a good enough job explaining it in my first discussion on this. To clarify, what we're discussing here is two different issues here. One is that, do we want to accept this tool for the 6 properties that are downtown, which will allow an option of being creative and finding a different use here. The district court development project is one that probably will submit for consideration before this board. And then some of the questions that are being raised here can be raised for that one development. But before us tonight is not that one development, it is the whole tool. There's a reason why this was sent to Community and Economic Development Committee, because this is a tool to help develop the downtown. It's a good tool, but we don't have to accept the options. If we get a bad proposal, we have questions about it, we can amend proposals. It's similar to a TIF, if you would, and a lot of the TIFs that we submitted have encouraged wonderful development projects here in Salem, brought a lot of jobs here. This is very similar to that. So later, if we, and I'm hoping that tonight we are able to get to a unanimous decision on this tool, which is very helpful from a planning standpoint, economic development. And then when the district court project comes before us asking for what they call a tie, not a TIF, it's different. It's similar, but it's different. When that project comes before us, then we can raise all these questions that the good Ward 2 councilor raised and Ward 4 councilor supported. But again, that's not before us tonight. That's a separate issue. I'd like to see us go forward with this as a tool in the toolbox. One more thing to help the city of Salem out and the downtown out. I'd also like to say that this is not, this one project is not low income. It's for market rate income residences, to clarify that. I received a couple calls, we're promoting low income downtown. No, that's not what this one's all about. Not that it's a bad issue, it's different. This is for market rate condominiums. So again, two different issues. Originally, I was against the Federal Street Court property going forward for fear of what might come as a result. Those fears have been set aside with assurances from the mayor and assurances from the Salem Redevelopment Authority that a priority for those properties would be on court-related uses and law-related issues, and keeping that a county seat in that area, and then residential uses would be the lowest pecking order and receive a lot less point value in any future proposals for that property. So it's again, what we have before us today is just a tool to help the downtown in this area, and then separately, the developers for the district court at some time in the future would come before this board, and that's when that type of discussion should be raised on these other issues. But now, all that's before us is this awesome tool that we may or may not accept on a case-by-case basis, but at least we'll have the opportunity. So I encourage that we all support this this good tool. Thank you.
Council Ludwig.
Thank you. I think it's clear that the reason this HDIP is before us is because there's a problem with the development. And it would have been wonderful, and I agree with Councilor Epley, that it would be wonderful if everybody had the opportunity to know that that tool was there. I have some questions that have been raised by a number of councils, Councilor Terrio, Councilor Epley, as well as Councilor Famico and others. I haven't dug as deeply in as they have regarding the project and how much has changed. One of the things that, and I know the project isn't before us, I wish that there was a level playing field. Perhaps we need to address that a little bit. I don't want to, no matter how we got the tool, while I agree that it's shoehorning, as you pointed out, I think it's a good tool that we can use. But I have questions about the process of the first applicant. It appears that we're now adopting this so this applicant can come forward. I have a problem with that, but I don't have a problem with the tool per se. But one of the things that I looked at last evening while we're having the discussion is the LDA, the Land Disposition Agreement with the SRA, says they accept the property as is. So, I mean, the fact that they struck oil, for lack of a better term, I mean, they bought the property as is. Now they want to come back, and I questioned the mayor on, well, how much money are they going to get? It's the first time I heard they figure of $1.7 million. Well, they're looking for tax relief, which they have to get before they can get the tax credits. You know, how much are we willing to give up? And it's very unfortunate that all people who took a look at this didn't have the opportunity to know that this tool was available. So I'm going to support the tool, but I'm going to be asking questions, and I'll be supportive of those councilors in the questions that they raise regarding what I see as the first applicant. Thank you.
Any further discussion? Seeing none, Councilor Sargent.
Well, thank you, Madam President. Quickly, I'm not going to be able to support it because I worry, I know this project has its issues, but I worry about one of our biggest downtown parking lots being in here, and that possibly spur and development, RFP, possible sale of that somewhere down the line. We're losing the Webb parking lot. Years ago, we lost the Norman Street, Barton Square parking lot. We can't afford to take a chance of losing another large downtown parking lot. So at this point, I can't support it. Thank you.
Thank you. On Councilor Dibble's, on the adoption of Councilor Dibble's recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further committee reports. Councilor Dibble.
Thank you, Madam President. In City Council, April 13, 2017, the Committee on Community and Economic Development co-posted with Committee of the Whole, to whom was referred the matter of creating an ordinance, guidelines, and perimeters for permitting food trucks to operate in certain areas of Salem, has considered the matter and would recommend that the matter remain in committee, and that the Mayor's office forms an ad hoc committee to draft ordinance, guidelines, and perimeters, with members to include Councilor Turiel, Councilor Gerard, the mayor or her designee, Chamber of Commerce, restaurant owner of the Chamber's choosing, Diane Wolf, owner of the Lobster Shanty, and Christine Madore, representing the Salem Redevelopment Authority member.
Thank you. On adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? On acceptance of the report, all those in favor? Opposed? On adoption of the recommendation, under discussion.
Not really, Madam Chair. This is pretty straightforward. I look forward to the draft ordinance and recommendations to come back from this ad hoc committee so that my committee can act further on it.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Seeing none, on adoption of the recommendation, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Communications from city officials, none. Petitions.
We have a petition from Attorney William Quinn representing Juliana Taché of JJ Taché LLC, owner of the properties located at 204, 206, 214, and 222 Derby Street, to amend the zoning map to rezone these four properties, currently residential two-family R2, to Central Development Zone B5.
Councilor McCarthy.
Thank you, Madam President. I refer this matter to the planning board to hold a joint public hearing.
Any discussion?
Nope. Briefly, the attorney representing the properties in question spoke to me briefly about it and what their thoughts were. I talked to the building inspector. I have a few questions, which I will hold to the meeting, but basically, the buildings in question all have commercial on the first floor with some in case residential on the second floor. And every time someone comes into a different space, they have to go for a variance of use in order to accommodate that. So this is just trying to see if this is the correct. They definitely don't fit into the R2 zone, but where the B5 zone is right there, they're thinking the B5, the extension of the B5 just down there works. That's why we put them to committee to have a discussion. We'll take that up in committee.
Thank you. Any further discussion? Seeing none, on Council McCarthy's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further petitions.
Page 21.
I think we're on 21 now, right?
We have list of license application, public guide, and taxi operators.
Council Ryan.
Move granted.
Under discussion?
No discussion.
On Council Ryan's motion that these be granted, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a taxi operator license for
Council Ryan.
Joselito Gomez.
Oh, sorry, Council Ryan.
Move denied.
Under discussion?
No discussion.
On Council Ryan's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? The matter carries. Further petitions.
We request from Joselito Gomez to hold a hearing on the denial of his taxi operator license.
Council Ryan.
Move referred to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs to hold an executive session.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
On Council Ryan's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further petitions.
We have a list of license applications for pawnbroker, sea worm, and tag day.
Council Ryan.
Move referred to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
On Council Ryan's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Further petitions.
We have 4 claims and 1 subrogated claim.
Council Ryan.
Move referred to the Committee on Ordinance, License, and Legal Affairs.
Any discussion?
No discussion.
On Council Ryan's motion, all those in favor? All those opposed? Matter carries. Unfinished business.
We have second passage of an ordinance amended Chapter 2, Section 2-142A, compensation mayor salary effective inauguration day 2018, $135,000 per annum, and effective January 1st, 2019, the mayor shall receive a salary of $150,000 per annum.
Councilor Gerard.
Thank you, Madam President. I move for second and final passage by roll call vote.
Councilor Gerard moves for second and final by roll call vote. No discussion? Okay, Madam City Clerk, please call. Oh, sorry, Councilor Sargent, you have discussion?
Just quickly, as with first passage, I stand opposed to this amount of a raise. I would support 2 or 3%, as with most of the people who are paying the taxes to pay for this raise are getting 2 or 3% a year if they get a cost of living. If we hadn't had a raise in a real long time, I would understand it would be over so many years, so it would be less of a raise per year. But we've gone, in my days here, from 85 down to 80, 80 back to 100, 100 to 120, and I think we put it into a percentage that's reasonable as the working class is getting, and I could support that, but I can't support 12.5% one year, then 12.5% the next year. So.
Councilor Lovely?
Yes, I wasn't here for first passage. I was at the committee meeting, and the job of the mayor is the toughest in the city. We have several of her own department heads that, certainly the police chief, the superintendent, and the fire chief, who are making more money than this. I was hoping for a larger amount. I understand it's a big jump, but the job is very, very demanding. Not only do you have the entire budget. The superintendent has half the school, but half the budget with the school department. It's just, I'm going to support this. I just wanted people to know who weren't at the committee meeting that I feel that the job is worth more money, and I do understand people are electing to make a large jump, but when you look at town managers, the monies that they make, and a city like Salem is a much tougher job than a town like Danvers, and I think the compensation over there is approaching $200,000. So while I appreciate and will support second passage, I just wanted to go on the record as saying it's the toughest job in the city, and it should be compensated as such.
Any further discussion? On Councilor Gerard's motion, Madam Clerk?
Final roll call vote.
Councilor Turiel?
Yes.
Councilor Sargent?
No.
Counselor Ryan?
Yes.
Counselor McCarthy?
Yes.
Counselor Lovely?
Yes.
Counselor Gerard?
No.
Counselor Fury?
Yes.
Counselor Famiko?
Yes.
Counselor Epley?
Yes.
Counselor Dibble?
Yes.
Counselor Milo?
Yes. Thank you. On the matter of second passage for the ordinance relative to compensation for the mayor, we have 11 councilors voting, 9 in the affirmative, 2 in the negative. The matter carries. Counselor Fury.
Motion to adjourn, Madam President.
Thank you. We are adjourned.